Welcome back to the Culture Crusade. Oh boy. Look, there is it's going to be a big live stream today, everyone. I'll wait everyone to arrive. John is with us. He's just getting some coffee, so he'll be back shortly. But not only do we have a lot of topics to cover today, there are also some pretty heavy topics as well. We will be talking about the stabbing that happened in the UK. And holy crap, everything around that is just gets me angry. Actually gets me angry. Then we got Supergirl. We got the Lego cartel fiasco stuff happening. Yes, Lego cartel. The regular family is fascist. The nuclear family is, oh my gosh. Also, the nature of female literature, that's coming up. And look, like I said, there are some heavy topics to get into today, but let's start off with some a bit more lighthearted topics, okay? Before we go into the heavy ones. So this might seem a bit Shadiversity, right? But it's related to social media and stuff that's come across my feed, and it's a little lighthearted. So I want to show everyone a new sword that I purchased, right? But there's something different about this sword. There's something different. So as people are arriving in chat, I want you to try and tell me what is different about this sword. What is particularly special, unique, strange, or different? And it might not be evident, but I actually think this is something that is infested sword social media. All right. And it is a big difference. There is something different about this sword, which is profoundly and significantly different to most other swords, and I wonder if you will be able to tell the difference. And so it's not a sword, it was fabric. Aha! Proven wrong now. Okay. Plot thickens. Now it is a real sword. Okay. And so so far it looks like a katana. What could be different about this sword? All right, I will take it out of the sheath. Can you tell what is different about this sword? Now, I don't blame you if you can't, because I wouldn't be able to tell just from looking at it. But as soon as I start to handle it and I do this, that's where, if you're a very keen-eyed observer, you will have noticed something about this sword that is rather different and odd. And you might be, hang on, how could you tell from doing this? How can you tell from doing this? And especially this. Okay? If you are familiar with swords, what I just did then, the movement and redirect of the blade was far too quick. What you would have noticed if you are very familiar with swords is that this sword has far less mass than what you usually see with regular swords. Do have a certain amount of weight, and you can tell by the inertia that they have in their hand. And so, Chad has figured it out. Yes. Only in movement can you tell this, and you can't tell from looking at it. Looking at it, just still, look, it even has a Hammond line. Okay, this is an aluminium katana. It is fake, completely fake. And so John has rejoined us. Let me minimize myself. How are you, John?
Say that word again.
This sword is fake.
What's it made from, though?
Aluminium. Aluminum.
I will never get tired of you guys overseas, how you pronounce aluminum. It's crazy.
Well, I started to get my suspicions up quite strongly when a lot of these martial art videos were flooding my feed on Twitter, and I see things like this. So let me just share my screen right here. Okay, so something like this, right? So this crosses my feed, and I'm like, oh, martial arts swords. I like swords. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I was like, whoa, okay, that's why people find this. That is really fast. That was a very fast movement. You see that? But then I'm like, well, hang on a second. That movement with one hand, that blade suddenly got redirected really fast. Okay. And look, stereotypically, women don't have as much, grip strength as men. And she is spinning that sword around really fast. And that sword looked like it had very little mass. And I was like, And even that motion right there, I'm like, That, if I was to put money on it, that is a fake sword. That is an aluminium katana right there.
Now look, just because it's aluminum does not mean it's not sharp. I once saw a guy get his finger sheared off on a construction site by an aluminum wire tray that fell down. He was supposed to be wearing his safety gloves, and he was not. That was the safety man's favorite day of all time because it proved him right. So I have seen aluminum do some damage to people.
Yes. Well, they're usually blunt. This is blunt. And so these fake aluminum katanas are actually far more available than people realize. There are martial arts stores, and they're specifically sold for demonstrative purposes. Now, I actually don't mind too much, right? Like especially in film, people using fake swords and everything, because if it's lighter, you can move it faster and stuff like that. But there is a measure of deception in it, because they usually present themselves as, being very talented, and that the speed is a byproduct of their skill, when in actual fact, I would put money on these being fake swords. Like, have a look at this one here. Again, really fast, but it's that redirection of the momentum of the blade where I'm like, that's an aluminium katana. I would put money on it.
People don't realize how much steel actually weighs until you get like a solid little piece of it in your hand, and it's like, wow, this is heavier than it looks.
Yeah. Yep. And so when you're familiar with swords and you just know the natural weight in normal katanas, like I've got one right here. Okay, actually, let me get this one. This is a better size, right? This one here is a real carbon steel katana. Okay, and it's crazy sharp, so I need to be a bit careful. But like, look at the difference. See what I'm doing here, right? Do you see the weight and inertia in the blade? And even when I do that, you can just see the way that it handles in the hand, and now compare to this. Do you see that? I like the difference, and especially here, like the weight difference becomes very evident right away. And so when seeing these, what I think are actually fake martial art videos, I went online and now I've purchased one. And so I'm going to do a exposing, debunking video on Shadiversity, because they're cool, yet at the same time, like, should you disclose this type of stuff? Or if it, because chat, let me know. Is this, deceptive in the sense where they're presenting themselves to have more skill than what they really do have in being able to use a much, much lighter blade, which makes them ramp up the speed so much. And then they often use speed ramps in the footage as well. So,
you know who this is a sword for, Shad? This is a sword for those martial arts masters. You see their clips that come online every now and then, what we like to call bullshitsu, where they're throwing full-grown men off of them at full momentum with just their finger or a wave of their hand. Yeah, these are going on those guys' walls.
Yeah, and then we get videos like this. Now, it still looks amazing. I think this one is more for just the cinematic effects, yet the blade is like almost like it's way thin. These types of Chinese blades are super thin, and you'll see the thing, and then they use speed ramps in the footage, and the actual movements themselves are really fun and cool. And the camera work adds a lot to this one that we're going to watch right now. And so I'm not saying it's not cool and that there isn't talent involved. I would actually like to reproduce perhaps some of this movement sequence myself, because I know nearly all the movements that she does here, but the camera work and speed kind of makes it look far more complex than what it is. But then there is the weight of the blade as well. And so but do you see how thin this one is? Do you see it's kind of flopping? Do you see that?
Nope.
No, you don't.
Now, what style sword is that? That's not a katana, right?
No, that's a Chinese sword. This one.
Okay, I like the
And
look of it. It looks cool.
Yeah, it looks great, doesn't it? Yeah, very cool. But the weight of that sword, I'm like, yeah, it's they're getting a certain assistive boost from not using a real one. Now, just to end off this little segment, all right, I will show what you can pull off with a real sword. And when I say real sword, this is like a crazy sharp 10 out of 10. It's a great sword. We reviewed it on Shadiversity. But doing this with a fully functional sharp sword, I do not recommend. You have to be very comfortable and familiar with swords to spin a deadly sword like this around to the level that I do in this video, all right? But this is with a real, properly weighted, sharp sword. And so doing this with that, now already you can see that the weight in it is actually real in that movement sequence. And so there's a difference. But also it's so much more dangerous because that is actual sharp. Like, better to do, even when you're doing that with full steel, better to do it blunt, all right? But
there was a great moment in Lord of the Rings. It's probably one of my favorite sword moments in all movies. That has you, if you remember, right before Helm's Deep starts, when he's looking at the sword that the kid hands him, and he swings it. And God bless the sound department and the editing that they used on that, because they made it seem like that sword could really do some damage. And he hands it back. He says, "This is a good sword." And I'm like, wow, the movie really makes that sword look as good as he says it is. And it kind of makes me wonder, were they that authentic with it? Like, did they have actual swords for that movie?
They had a whole range. They had real, properly weighted ones, as well as like rubber ones and foam ones and things. But they look great, don't they? But with this one, I purchased this because I think I want to make one of those martial art kind of videos with this, that I'll be able to be twice as fast with this, because, and also because it's so much lighter, it looks like you have more control over the blade because it's so much lighter. You can hold it more steady in the movements and stuff. And so you just look better using it. And I want to make a fake martial art video, but disclose it at the end, saying, you thought that was good, you thought it was fake. And that's why I bought it. I bought it because I find it intriguing. And I want to kind of expose it. But so that's a bit of a lighthearted thing to kick us off. Let's do some light topics, but we will be getting into some of the heavier ones as we go on. This topic here, I want to talk about with you specifically, John. In fact, were you the one who posted? No, V posted this. Women's literature. That's a loaded topic, even just kicking us off, isn't it there, John?
Ever tell you about the time I went to Target's book aisle?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Look. Patterns are emerging. Okay. I'm just saying patterns are emerging. And this little chart crossed my feed. And it's like you see it and you have to ask, where is the lie? Okay. Have you seen this chart here? Women's fiction is a spectrum.
I haven't seen this.
You haven't seen this one? So, first one, rape, melancholic codependency. All right, if that's your jam, but maybe it's just one off. Next one, rape, bestiality. It's just like, oh wow, okay, all right, and of course the book that they show there is Milking Farm. I haven't read it. I'm not an expert. We should ask Arch this. He has read this one. But I wasn't aware there was actually rape in it. But I have heard of other titles that do have it in it. And this one might. But this one just has full-on bestiality. The next one on this spectrum, rape again. Oh, okay. But this one, trillionaire cheating on his wife. Okay. And then the fourth one on the spectrum, rape. Is there a pattern emerging here, John? I'm just like, I'm wondering.
They seem to like the government forced rape the most of all.
Oh my gosh, The Handmaid's Tale. Oh gosh.
I legitimately listen. I fully believe in write what you want. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My problem has never been that these books exist. My problem is that the industry itself has gone so far out of its way to make it popular and put it up as the forefront of women's literature. Like the bodice rippers of the old school housewives, you know, the ones with Fabio on the cover, they used a lot of purple prose to avoid saying a lot of the nitty-gritty stuff. Now, this stuff doesn't do that. It just straight up gets in there and is written as debaucherous as possible. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they're so enamored with it and shameless about it too. Let me tell you, my time spent on Book Talk and Bookstagram, they are shameless when it comes to how gleeful they are to be able to buy these books, if they even read them, right? Because there is that bit of algorithm humping that goes on over there. It is disgusting. Literature has put out degenerate crap like this before. It's just never been quite at this level of popularity, and they think this is a win. Like, that's what confuses me.
Yeah. So there are layers. There are layers to this. Now, when you said, you know, yes, people should be free to write what they want, whatever they like, okay? And that is true. But at the same time, we can judge them for it. Like, okay, if there's going to be some horrible content in it, and especially if it promotes certain things. Now, the promotion aspect, it makes you wonder, because you wouldn't say some of these promote, you know, the R word, yet there is a strange amount of interest in the topic. And look, I'm not saying this represents all females literature, not by far, okay? We're just saying that there seems to be a bit of a pattern. But also, there seems to be a bit of a double standard where in a lot of women's fiction, this type of stuff seems to be presented as a kind of a kink that is turning some women on, which is really weird. Now, when I say double standard, right? Because I'm not going to be a hypocrite here. Like, rape is a subject that you can use in storytelling, sometimes to effective or useful effects. I have it in my story, Shadow of the Conqueror. In fact, my protagonist is a former evil tyrannical emperor, okay? Now, what I find interesting, the thing that left-wing nutcases take particular issue with my novel is not the genocides that this evil former tyrannical emperor committed. And he committed full-on genocides. I didn't pull any punches when I was like, I'm going to write a former villain, okay? And he was a real villain. No, I don't think I've seen a single person take issue with the protagonist and is more of an antagonist character for his genocides, yet I've seen people lose their mind over the fact that as an emperor, he had a harem of women who were coerced into the harem, and he kind of ignored, you know, the power imbalance and the fact that people were forced into it. And so definitionally, this character is a former rapist, right? But not in the sense to the extreme that is often in these books by any means. And my book is profoundly anti-rape, right? It has a massive anti-rape message where this protagonist hates himself for the evil that he's committed. He wants to die, and he punishes rapists in the most vicious and brutal ways because he kind of wants to do that to himself, right? Yet the Spurgs, because it's like they give all this crap a free pass, which seems to be celebrating it as a kink, and yet they have come after me and tried to claim that I am some type of rape apologist because my character is a former evil tyrannical emperor, has done evil things in the past, right? And even though my book is profoundly anti-rape, because that is the main character of the book, they come after me for that. It's wild. And yet all of this crap they get a complete free pass.
They went into your book with they didn't give the slightest care about the context. Mm-hmm. What was mentioned in your book was never shown to glamorize it. Certainly not to this extent, right? Mm-hmm. This is glamorizing it. I know it can be in some, if the right author, uses that as a narrative device. Sarah Douglas is an author I've mentioned many times, one of my favorite. There were numerous instances of this in her books, and she was a former romance writer before she got into fantasy, mind you. And I could talk about her all day, but never was it ever shown to be glamorous. Never was it for the purposes of titillation. And that's what makes what I find the most egregious about these books is that the married people that will sit there and read these unironically and enjoy them unironically will pop up and complain about, oh, the women in your fantasy or science fiction book, they're in chainmail bikinis, they're in skin tight outfits, they're being sexually objectified. And it's like, I don't ever want to hear that argument from any female reader ever again, unless you have explicitly stated you have not touched any of these books and don't enjoy them either. At that point, I might. But this just pisses me off. If they didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all.
Yes, exactly. It's like they're trying to claim, oh, the male gaze. Look, there are scantily clad women in this book. They ignore that there are scantily clad men often in the books as well, oftentimes more so. But scantily clad women. And it's like, hang on, you've got glamorized rape kink in your literature. Why aren't you crying bloody murder? And by the way, often these books are written by self-proclaimed feminists. Okay, and
they stuff it with all their stuff too. Hi, Lit Dev. Sorry.
Hello.
They will put all their politics in this. They will put all their kinks and fetishes in this. They don't see it's a problem because it's coming from them. Really, what they don't like is they don't like that heterosexual men have something that caters to them. That's really what it boils down to.
Yes.
This is exactly what women do like. It's pretty accurate to me. I was just thinking about this meme today. But, a lot of women's fiction have this on some level. It is a spectrum of rape, and see which kind of rape is this. Is it a matter of if there's rape in it? It's just what flavor of rape is it? Even if it's innocent, like even it's like someone told me about the Oron Host Club, which is a long time, like an old anime from way back, which is about a girl, and it became like a whole entire genre with a fan fiction or whatever, but about a girl who's in like a all guys school and disguised as a guy, and a lot of the titillation comes from the idea of, is the main character going to get sexually assaulted at one point? It's a very wholesome anime overall, but there's the whole tension is there. So it's always there. It's never, as long as it's not 0%, it's good enough. There
just seems to be a pattern.
They really, really, really want the Handmaid's Tale to come true. They really, I mean, they're importing the culture that it was based on. Because look, it was based on the I think the Iranian Revolution, not Christianity. So
this is actually kind of related in a sense where you notice something where what do you say before, John? They have an issue with normal male kind of attraction. They don't want
you'll see this in anime fans too, that when something comes along and it's just obvious normal heterosexual attraction, male, female, they don't like it. They especially don't like when it portrays women as being attracted towards a man or having a crush on a guy first. Like, to them, that is some kind of blasphemy to their ideologies. And really, it ends up boiling down to a lot of feminism. And you remember, feminism is just Marxism wearing a skirt. So and the destruction of the nuclear family has always been one of the core tenets of Marxism.
You've touched on what will be the next subject, but to round off this one, and my brain, I think, just went dead. Let's see if I can recapture the thought. What were you like? Because brain, and it's early. What were you saying before about just now? Could you repeat yourself? Sorry, Sean. It's like I had it. Now that it's completely gone.
It's always like it's always the danger of rape, or was it about the Handmaid's Tale thing?
No, it was what John was just saying now that triggered a thought that I was going to jump on and comment. But it's complete brain dead. it just lost it. And that's not, don't you hate it when that happens, when you have something like, I want to jump on that.
It's vanished story of my life.
And then it's gone.
Me most of the time, brother.
Yeah. Could you repeat what you were saying just now, John? See if I can recap.
The destruction of the nuclear family is one of the core tenets of Marxism, and feminism is just Marxism wearing a skirt.
Before the feminism.
About them not liking women being shown, being attracted towards men. Like, God forbid the women have an actual sex drive that towards a normal guy, ordinary guys.
Mm-hmm. It's lost. It's completely gone. But there we go.
I remember is the meme that they like a man as long as he can billionaire handsomely across a room.
Right. And there's the male equivalent of this too. No one's saying, but men have a little more, kind of self-introspection.
I remembered it. Sorry, yes. Do you want to go on what you're saying?
No, go ahead. I don't want that train to derail again.
Yeah, right. Because you said something about that they seem to love the more extreme thing, and the issue was if men are the ones that seem to initiate the pursuit, and they don't like it if men are the ones that are starting the courting or pursuing the woman. But they take it even further. They say it's like some type of abuse, because think about Star Wars and how Han Solo pursued Leia. Do you know how many feminists have accused that of being horribly sexist, almost rapey, in the sense that she was like playing hard to get and he was being assertive in it? Now,
men pursuing women is one of their big no-nos these days. And now they're starting to go on TikTok and go, why don't men chase me anymore? I told my boyfriend to break up and he said, okay. And he moved right out. Like, why didn't he even try? Like, because men have been conditioned, especially younger men, that no means no, pursuit means you're a creep, and they can just Me Too you out of existence, out of your job, cost you your job, your social life, even press charges on you.
Well, also
and suffer no repercussions on their end for doing so, even if they're proven wrong.
There's also that complaint they have where where the guy asks her out and she says no and then he leaves, and the complaint online they have is, why did you keep asking? You should have just kept pursuing.
Exactly. And they're just doing exactly what the feminists say. No means no, and that's it. And they're like, okay, well, we'll follow your rules, feminists. And then women get upset. It's like, well, it didn't actually. Hang on, are you saying there are some times when it didn't mean no? And I'm just like, how are we supposed to judge? There's no way to tell. And so also the thing that Han Solo's pursuit of Leia, that does not even hold a candle to the level of potential abuse of what we see in this type of women's literature. Okay. Yet Star Wars and Han Solo's kind of pursuit of Leia has been utterly criticized as being horribly problematic and abusive, almost like sexually abusive, right? In comparison. And it's like, such a bloody double standard. Where is their criticism of the abuse in this crap?
I like the bottom one is especially where it's about the a trillionaire cheating on his wife. The Hollywood has romanticized cheating for women for I think at least a decade or so.
Yeah,
and it's always about the main character being a woman, and she's cheating on her boyfriend or husband or whatever with a handsome billionaire, and he's the right choice for her, and it's a tragedy that she's stuck with this loser boyfriend or husband and the husband actually cares for her or whatever, but it's he's too soft of a man. She needs this awesome guy to go out with, and it's there's so many the women are complaining about this now the same way they're complaining about romanticy. But they have grown a little bit older since they watched these movies and are looking back now and wait a minute, this is horrible. It's been romanticizing cheating for decades now.
And in regards to Han Solo, okay, if Leia truly did not have any interest in him at all, she would have made it very, very clear, okay? But there were so many signs that she was attracted to him, and the thing is, Han saw that and he knew that she liked him and she was conflicted and he really liked her. And so he pursued her. But that type of pursuit, the masculine kind of pursuit of a woman, when a woman's playing hard to get, is now being framed as horribly abusive. And I'm not saying that men should push it or go too far. I'm not saying anything like that. The signs are pretty clear when a woman is actually not into you. And then it's like, okay, no, you don't push it, right? But that's not the case what it looks like with Han and Leia, because Leia, turns out, did love him. They got married. Shock horror. And so
for a little while, they got married for a little while until they broke up, and then Leia got a lesbian lover named Admiral Holdo.
we don't consider the sequels canon, Linton. There's some abominable.
There were only 6 Star Wars movies, 5 and a half,
exactly
really.
Right, and that is the end of that. We need not discuss it anymore. Han and Leia lived happily ever after. So another topic, but it is related to this one. It is so odd that the left just hate the nuclear family. And if you wonder, like, that's not true. That's not true at all, Shad. How could the left hate the nuclear family? We see examples time and time again, and this one is the most recent one. And I can't believe this, but it's mask off. This is them telling us, right? You saw this, John, didn't you? So,
yeah, I joined in this dog pile.
Oh, yeah. They're like Superman, the family of steel, and it's a traditional nuclear family, something wholesome. Well, look at that. This person says, maybe I'm too woke. But all right, what you're about to then go on to say,
I knew they would call it fascist. I knew they call it fascist.
Yes, but I woke. But I feel once you've given superheroes nuclear family structures, it's low-key fascist. What? What the hell? Now, I shouldn't be surprised, yet I am. The reason why I shouldn't be surprised, this is the same type of narrative the extreme left have been doing constantly. When the traditional nuclear family comes out, they say it is heteronormative, it is exclusionary, it is not embracing diversity, therefore it is fascist and evil and all that stuff. And a big thing that happened a couple of years back was Japan, McDonald's in Japan released some wholesome advertising of a family, animated family eating McDonald's. That was it. That's it. It's nothing controversial. It's just a nuclear family enjoying eating McDonald's.
That was fascist too.
The Spurgs online lost their minds attacking it for being heteronormative. And it's like, what the heck is wrong with these people? When this is like the nuclear family is the bedrock of society, is the most important unit in any society. We need the traditional nuclear family more than anything else. And then you wonder why it gets attacked and is framed as fascist. And there are reasons for it. John, you kind of touched on it a bit, that there is this, why does Marxism, communism seems to have a big issue in particular with the nuclear family? And one of the reasons, I think there are multiple, but one of the reasons is children, especially like just people, individuals, right, who have a family structure that looks after them, right, can rely on them to be looked after, and they don't need to rely on the state. And that is key right there. It undermines the state's power and influence. And there is a reason why women who do tend to lean more liberal when they are married, so there is oftentimes a shift where they become more conservative. You know,
family women tend to do that unless they marry a weak man, which Jordan Peterson goes over with that infamous interview he had with Kathy Newman, where he goes over this. He goes like, why do some of these women choose like weak men? It's because they fear being dominated, so they want to find a man that can dominate. This is from Jordan Peterson. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it is a phenomenon that happens where they'll find a man that can dominate, and they will retain their weirdo, psycho, far left political views.
Yep.
Which is strange, because when you get down to their primal desires, what they want, they really do want a stronger male. They kind of do want that dominance, as evidenced by what they put in their literature. But I think Homath, the YouTuber, kind of put this best. His most recent video where he said, women do not tell you what they want. They tell you they want what's socially acceptable, and they keep what they actually want hidden unless it becomes socially acceptable. Or, you know, they're kind of in their own little environment with each other where they can kind of let that cat out of the bag. And you see how it ends up manifesting itself. This is the difference between men and women. A lot of men are direct communicators. Women are very indirect communicators. This is what, you know, and this battle of the sexes has been going on for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
We're in a terrible spot with it where neither side seems to know how to deal with each other. And it's really going to end up with one side like losing badly.
Well, unfortunately, that is the case. Now, one side also, like on the large scale, well, they're just not having children, so they're going to lose out in the, you know, the I guess what path of the human race where, but that's why they go after other people's children, try and indoctrinate other people's children because they don't often have their own. And that's kind of what the state wants. The ultimate kind of communist agenda is that the state wants to raise the children and indoctrinate them, and part of achieving it is undermining the nuclear family, the traditional family, okay? Because in the traditional family, children can rely on the parents, but also parents, when they get old and invalid, can rely on the children to look after them. They don't need a state pension or anything like that. Like me and my wife, we are determined to look after my mother when she gets old. She's single, as also my father and her parents. Like that's just our role. We're going to look after our parents as they get older, as much as we can with the means that we have, because that's what you do. That's the natural order of just what is good.
This is why communism does not work, because at its very at the very root of everything they try to put, it's about replacing normal human basic psychological needs with being fulfilled by the state. And the nuclear family is strong ties towards your children and your parents and your in and around your community, the 100 or so people you are most close to. Replacing that with reliance on the state, and that's just not how human beings work. Just like that's not how their economics work, because their economics are about trying to create everyone being equal, but some people have different needs, and everyone inevitably wants a little more than what they have. No one's ever fully satisfied with what they have. So you can give somebody a family of 5 a little plot of land to live on. They're going to want some more. They're going to have not enough room, not enough food. And it's inevitably your own hard work is what kind of elevates yourself and your family. And that's why the free market is better.
Yeah, hard work is key right there, because people are different. And because people are different, communism will never work. It's a fool's errand. And even socialism, right? Because people are different, you will always have different outcomes. Flat. And there are people who simply work harder than others and therefore accumulate more wealth and resources. It's the natural order of effect. And then people say, look at all the inequality in the world. How dare they have more than me? They must have robbed it from me and I'm going to take it by force. It is just such this nonsense, mentality of envy and jealousy that ultimately breeds and pushes and supports and props up communism, when it's, the surface of it is all this flowery language, whereas we want equality and everyone treated fairly. But to achieve this thing, this fool's errand of equal outcomes, we inherently need to treat people unfairly and penalize those people who are working hard and have more resources and steal their things to redistribute it. And so the very premise of treating everyone fairly is achieved by inherently treating people unfairly. And it's just this bullcrap nonsense ideology, but because it has that flowery language on the surface of, don't you believe in everyone having the same thing and all living in this, fool's errand utopia, it falls flat on its face, and it doesn't.
It appeals to the people who are the laziest, who are the most envious, who are the greediest, because they don't have a lot. That's why it's so appealing to people who are broke and poor and damn near homeless at times, because they don't want to put in the hard work to get something. They want to put in no work and get a baseline level of almost nothing. I put a probably one of the greatest tweets of all time in the chat right there. I love this tweet. Reminder, communism is when ugly, deformed freaks make it illegal to be normal and then rob or kill all the successful people out of petty resentment and cruelty. The ideology is just window dressing. And it's true. It's true. Thank you, Mystery Grove, for that all-timer right there. That's why You have people who are so just indoctrinated into this style of thinking, even if they don't say outright that they are communist, Marxists, or whatever, they're still spouting Marxist talking points.
It really is the philosophy of envy.
Yes,
it really is.
They really build anything for themselves. It's kind of like, that guy has more than me. That shouldn't be the case. He should share.
Yep. And then they also try and false frame everything, where they think everyone who has more must have, obtained it illegitimately. And they usually like focus on what the inheritance kids that just get, like they're the children of insanely wealthy people, and then they inherit all this money and they didn't really work for it. And they say that's unfair. First of all, the parents have every right to give their children as much as they want when they pass on. It is fair. The parents work for it and they get to choose what they do for the money. But they usually try and focus on that and ignore that most of the rich people in the world actually had to work for it. Okay. And then they like to ignore what is like actual rich, because there are so many of these, champagne socialists that are actually rich, but they're not talking about themselves. They're talking about the actual billionaires, Bernie Sanders, where it was always going after the millionaires and billionaires, but hang on, he became a millionaire.
Aren't you a millionaire? It's the billionaires. It's
the billionaires that are the problem suddenly, Bernie Sanders.
I remember remember that whole thing with Hassan where they say they find out that he lives in a mansion and stuff like that, and they're like, well, he lives in a mansion. He's like a rich guy, and then all of his fans are like, "What, do you want to be homeless?" And he's like eating this really rich food or whatever. He's like, "What, do you want him to starve?"
You ever see the diagrams that break down how much what he wears actually is? My car doesn't cost as much as a lot of his clothes do sometimes. And by the way, what is it with rich people, especially jackoffs like Hassan Piker? The richer he dresses, the more of a douchebag he looks like. How can you spend so much money on clothes and look so ugly? I don't understand it.
Gosh.
What's really annoys me the most about them is that one of the things that annoys me about them most is they're always fixated on the rich people are hoarding all the money. No, it doesn't work like that. They worked for their money. There's not a finite amount of money in the world, and some people just happen to fall out of the sky and land into a pile of it, whereas you fell into the ditch and had nothing. Listen, brother, I grew up poor. I'm talking dirt poor. There was a period in my life where we were literally homeless. We were living out of a camp at a campground in Stone Mountain, Georgia. I just thought we were on vacation. My parents didn't tell me we didn't have a place to live. And my dad had to get up the money, and my dad he lives the American dream. He did not graduate from high school. He started working out of pocket for construction guys. Eventually, he created his own construction company, bought his own land, built his own house. Mind you, this man built his own house by hand. Him and some of the guys that worked for him. And now he's in his 60s. Land's paid off. Vehicles are all paid off.
Can I just jump on something that really pisses me off, right? Like, that's almost impossible now because of insane amounts of building regulation. Like back in the day, you need a house, and the hardworking, determined man, like if he didn't have enough money to get someone build a house, he built it himself. But now you can't. The government will say, no, you're not allowed to build your own home.
Bear in mind, Dad. Because my dad worked in construction, he knew about like the building codes and and regulations. So he knew how to build a house that would pass inspection. He didn't just go and slap wood up.
But John, this actually goes back further, and I'll give some examples. But we're in a state now where the government would rather people be homeless than not build the homes the way that they demand. The way they demand, most of it is bullcrap. I'm in the process of trying to build a house right now, okay? And the amount of ridiculous regulation, because we have to hit 5-star energy rate, we can't even build houses on stumps now here in Victoria, Australia, because it has to meet this bullcrap energy rating thing. And building a house on stumps is way cheaper and way more economical in the sense of repairs and getting into the underside of the house and everything like that. And so all this government regulation is forcing you to like spend so much more money and inhibiting people to be able to build homes. If you go back enough, right, where the further you go back, less building regulations. The point where people were able to just build houses the way that they were satisfied with. And so they would just build it out of the materials they had. And you can look up in like Canada, there are a thing called sod houses, where they literally built houses out of sod, which is the first top layer of, soil and turf in the ground. They would make bricks out of it, stack it, then surround the bricks in wood. And some of these houses are still standing today. And they actually have really good insulated properties because they're made out of dirt. All right, right? But not illegal. You can't build houses in all of these traditional ways that were perfectly fine for thousands of years. But because the government needs to step in and just micromanage everything, okay, they would rather people be homeless than be able to build their own houses. I can't friggin' stand it. But sorry, that's just one example of how large government is restricting people being able to look after themselves. And then who's going to look after them if they can't, if the government's stopping them? Well, daddy's state. The government will come in and say, oh, we'll look after you. You just have to vote for us and we'll take all the money and redistribute and all that friggin' bullcrap. Can't stand it. But to round this segment off, okay, what I find interesting is that the way to force this communist bullcrap to work, okay, is actual true fascism, taking away people's freedom and forcing them to obey these bullcrap laws. That's actual fascism, right? Okay, and look, that's kind of the more generalized term. There is a political ideology of fascism, celebrated and pushed by Mussolini and stuff. But if you were really like, what people don't actually understand the historical meaning of the word fascism, now it's just like anything that they don't like, to the point where the nuclear family, anything that threatens their ideology is fascist now, or if it's not inclusive, it's fascist. When if you want to go with the more generalized term, no, fascism is is authoritarianism, forcing people to conform to your ideology against their will.
That's what it's supposed to mean.
Today
it just means normal.
Right.
Yeah.
Nuclear family, fascism. Being straight, fascism.
Fascism.
Having a police force, fascism.
Yeah, but the actual ideology that is practicing real fascism is the left, the extreme communist bullcrap left, are the actual definable fascists in society, but they love to twist and lie about them.
Well, they always project as well. They are born hypocrites, and they are always going to project what they are doing onto you. That is another tenet of Marxism, to accuse others of what you yourself are guilty of. They do it. They have ingrained this into their subconscious so much. They do it on a mental level. They don't even realize they're just parroting Marxist talking points that's a century old.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh my gosh. Like, so that gets me upset, but that crossed my feed. Let's now get into the heavy topic, because we need to talk about this. This is infuriating and wild. So we need to talk about the stabbing that happened in London. Okay. This is the stabbing and murder of Henry Nowak.
He was arrested because he was white.
I cannot believe how just infuriating this everything. They've released the police camera footage, and we can see everything. And there are so many layers to the just horrifying, outrageous, double standard bullcrap that is going on here. It is unbelievable. So to give, I'm not sure if there are some people who haven't heard of it because this has been, all over on Twitter. But the thing is, though, the mainstream media, radio silence, complete.
Oh no, they don't want this to get out. They know this could be the spark that blows off the powder keg. And to me, it feels like it is. This is worse than what happened with George Floyd, and it should.
Yeah. Oh yes,
in a just world, elicit an equal response from people.
Yeah,
but they know if it gets too far and wide, it's not going to happen, and they're going to do everything they can to suppress this.
They've released the body cam footage. It's actually not like violent. Okay, so we shouldn't get pinged on YouTube for sharing this. But they've released it, and this will show what happened. So the police get a call that an altercation has happened. All right, and in the police call, it has been revealed that the person who reported it said that this guy had been stabbed. So already the police should know he has been stabbed. Okay. and it is between what
I
looks
don't
to
think
be.
you have, mate. I don't think you have. Put your hand in the cuffs, stab victim.
Yeah, it looks
Die
to
on the
be
ground
an
here.
altercation between a white British guy and so is he Indian, Pakistani, or some type of immigrant? Okay, but the thing is, though, let's reel it back a little bit further. So the UK, they regulate who is allowed to carry knives in the UK. Well, they really try and clamp down, and I have been sounding like the bullcrap, calling out the bullcrap on this for years. That this is not like you can't regulate knives, kitchen knives. People will just get knives, but law-abiding citizens, because they try and obey the law, won't carry knives. But guess what? Some people in British society are still allowed to carry knives.
Religious knives.
Religious knives.
Religious murder weapons.
And so here is the murderer. No joke. This is unbelievable. The double standard. Okay. Here is legit the murderer at work, right? With the murder weapon on his person. He's literally just carrying around a knife for like religious reasons. Oh my. Hang on. Can I say the sword is part of my religion and to carry a sword? Please let me. Like, that's great. I'll write to my
That's how it works, yeah.
I'll write to the prophet of the LDS church, say, because we have the sword of Laban.
Weapons are part of my religion. Yeah.
Yes.
Look, he's just a Mandalorian.
I love weapons so much, I could almost say it's a religion for me. Can I get this exception? Like, genuinely. And guess what, by the way? Australia has this exception as well. It is actually built in to the laws that certain like Sikhs and everything are allowed to carry knives for religious reasons. And it's like, they'll never use this as for, murder or anything like that. Surely not. Yeah, this guy, literally, there's the murder weapon right there, and stabbed, a young British guy as a result. And so already the two-tier, reality in society is outrageous, absolutely outrageous. And look, I have a suspicion that if Henry was able to defend himself properly, if he had maybe even pepper spray or a knife of himself, something like that, or a gun, he might have been able to protect himself. But guess what? He wasn't able to. And so the reports are I don't exactly know how this altercation started, but it was clear that one person had a lethal weapon, and therefore they must have been the one that escalated it to lethal levels, because the Henry, it was impossible for him to escalate it to that because he was unarmed. So we know who escalated this then.
And no one with an IQ above room temperature is going to willingly charge at someone they know has a knife.
Exactly. Well, not only that, the reports are that Henry tried to escape and got chased down, and he was either stabbed once and tried to run away, or got chased down and then was stabbed. So this is like aggressive pursuant murder. This guy pursued him and murdered him. Okay, stabbed him. The police call comes in. And the report is that in the call, the police are told that he has been stabbed. Okay. And this is the footage right here. And it is just. So they're being led to where Henry is. Okay.
My dad's holding him.
And he is being held down. Okay. By someone.
He keeps dropping side to side, so I'm just trying to keep him set up.
He keeps dropping. So he is injured to an extent that he cannot even remain upright. So instead of holding him down, this guy is actually trying to hold him up to try and make it look like he isn't injured. Holy, that is already extremely.
Did they forget they're on cam?
Right? These guys, they know they're guilty, by the way. They know they are guilty as sin. And the extent that these guys went to try and hide the crime is vile in the extreme, and the family are implicated in this. Okay. But the police, when they arrive here, there is a guy so incapacitated that he can't even sit up. Do you reckon he's a threat in any means? Does this guy look like a threat in any measure?
Yes, yes, he does, because he's white. So therefore, he's obviously the bad guy, right, in the situation.
So what the police have been told is that this individual had been racist and called them racist remarks. And by the way, I think the racist remark that they claim he was called was packy. That's the horrible crime. It's like that someone.
Like, all right, then that's okay. You got stabbed and killed.
Look, and I'm not saying it's right or good to call a Pakistani a Paki. I'm just saying that doesn't seem particularly like egregious. It's not like you'd think that there are far worse slurs that people could be called, but no, that one is a bridge too far. And I'm not.
I can think 12. I can think of 12 of them off the top of my head. I used to work in construction right off the bat.
Exactly, that's my point, right? But no, that's the horrible slur that when the police arrive, they determine that this, incapacitated young man who can't even move is such a threat that he needs to be handcuffed. Instead of giving immediate medical assistance to a guy that obviously can't even stand up, right? They handcuff him while he pleads out. This is I can't put into words how disgusting all of this is. And it's because he was accused. They like the racism shield. If people don't think it exists, this debunks it completely. Where there is a murderer who just stabbed someone, and to protect himself, all he needed to do was call his victim a racist. And all this
we have that going on in the States right now. The Austin Metcalf, Carmela Anthony trial just started today. The jury selection did. And that was his whole defense. Gosh. They haven't released the video of that because I have a feeling that it is so egregiously against the person being on trial that it would just destroy the entire case. The court of public opinion will go completely against the family in that particular matter, the family of the perpetrator.
Yeah. So, racism shield fully in effect. They claim this guy's a racist, so the police handcuff him. He is now the perpetrator. And even though they should know that he's been stabbed, according to the police call, as far as I know, okay.
He's got a mouthful of blood. I don't want him. I can't breathe. He was on
a mouthful of blood. All right, so he's injured.
Been on the other side of this gate. He's jumped over these fences and stuff like that. And he's up here.
Away, mate.
He's obviously.
Now. Content warning in this part, and I do wonder if YouTube might ping us this part, because we do see an individual who is dying, and this is actually going to show his last moments and then his death. And so maybe I can't show that because I do think YouTube would really ping us here, but it's horrifying. It is absolutely horrifying. He says he can't breathe. Where have we heard that before? Can't breathe. Think about how the media lost their friggin' minds to that statement in a different circumstance. Can't breathe. But look, I think I'm going to risk it because this, people need to see this, right? This is just terrible because not only does he say he can't breathe, he says that he's been stabbed, and one of these scumbag, friggin' disgusting, vile people, right, says, no, he hasn't. They actually say, they lie flat to the police. He has not been stabbed. It's unbelievable. Now,
that doesn't rub me nearly as badly as the when it comes up later in the video where he tells them he's been stabbed, and the cop responds with, "I don't think you have." That ought to get that cop fired and tried. Yeah, because that's a negligence of especially over here in America. Usually when you tell the cops, freely tell the cops something like that, they're at least going to have do the cursory amount of checking to make sure that that's the legitimate case, right? They're at least going to check. He says he's been stabbed. Okay, where have you been stabbed at?
Yeah. I'm going to try something, everyone. The audio is more important than the visual. And I think we would be able to play the audio because the audio isn't graphic and the video might ping us. So I'm going to try and put up an overlay and play the video. And so the audio will just come through. All right. So this is up now. People should not be able to see the actual imagery of the poor guy in distress, but you should be able to hear it. So tell me if the sound is still coming through.
Fallen from there and he slipped from there.
So you can still hear it?
It's good.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right, let's listen to this. Let's listen to this.
Who's left over there, mate?
What's your name, mate? Huh?
The guy can barely talk. I'm getting so angry. This is really
Well, he didn't tell us he was stabbed.
yeah, right. But well, he goes on to. He will now say what happens.
Anyone been hurt other than him?
Yeah, me. He's grabbed my brother. He's took my turban off. Started grabbing my head.
So this guy, look. I'm showing this piece of crap. This is the murderer right here, right? And so has anyone else been hurt? Yeah, me, I've been hurt. And like,
He took my
no
turban
visible
off.
injury. He took my turban off and I got like a scratch on my eye. That's what this piece of crap goes on to say. Like this guy deserves the death penalty. He's a friggin' murderer and a liar. And that has come out in the trial. And I'll share some of the bull crap that this piece of human scum tried to pull, right? And so it's like, oh yeah, I'm hurt. Look at my eye. We can play.
You injured?
Yeah, I've got swollen eye, little bruise.
Yeah, swollen eye. Look, it was probably the poor thrashes of the guy as he was trying to escape, right? But it's like, no, now I'm injured, right? Okay.
So no visible injury on him, but they believe him anyway. Meanwhile, the guy's dying on the ground, stabbed. I don't think you've been stabbed, mate. I don't think you were injured. Like, no, this guy died because he's white. That's what happened. This guy died for being white.
Yes, I can't. This is so disgusting. And so listen to this.
Step back a little bit for me. Someone flag these down.
Got this stabbed.
Right, let's...
All right, so he just said, I've been stabbed. All right, he's told the police officer I've been stabbed. Now, I do not want to give much charity to the police officers here because they don't deserve it. All right, because what they should have done. Like the context is obvious that the call-in said there was a stabbing. He said it was stabbing. He could not move, and he is on the ground in distress. You would have to be such a brain-dead retard to not try and give assistive medical anything. I just try and help him. Okay, they don't. So this is the massive failing of the police right here, and why they deserve to be criticized. But the only charity I'll give in this instance, from the footage, you can't see blood, okay? And it's because he's wearing black and it's not appearing, okay? And also, it turns out this poor guy was bleeding internally. The blood was flowing into his lungs and he was drowning on his own blood. This is horrifying. Now, it also has come out that at this point of where we are at in the footage, the poor guy's already dead. The blood, he can't breathe. The blood is now in his lungs and there is no way to save him. It is horrifying, right? But that does not excuse the police because he would have died anyway, even if we tried to help him. That doesn't excuse you for not trying to help him. Because what if there was a thing that you could have done to save his life? It means he would have died because of your inaction. So this does not excuse the police, even though you can't actually see blood. And that's what I think the police officers are like, I don't think you have, because he's saying that he can't see it, even though they go on to say that there is a stab on his face and he's reported that he's been stabbed. He's in distress. And the phone call reporting also says he's been stabbed. So it doesn't excuse the police. But the response where he says, I don't think you have, mate, I do think comes from the fact that it doesn't seem immediately evident. And so tell me if you can still hear it.
Yeah,
Audio still coming through?
Yes.
All right.
shall we?
I was in bed asleep. And then we just find out that someone's attacked.
I'll grab his other.
So he just said, I can't breathe. Can't breathe, bruv. Right? So it's trying to tell the police is in distress. And this isn't like George Floyd saying, I can't breathe. Like this guy literally, like, this guy
actually was killed by the police because of their inaction.
Yeah. George Floyd couldn't breathe because he was going into cardiac failure after overdosing on fentanyl and wrestling with the cops.
Because he's a druggie. He's a worthless druggie and killed himself because of a drug overdose.
But this guy who literally, like, he sounds like he can't breathe. Okay. He's barely able to speak. The cops, by the way, because I can see the footage in the background, they dragged him along on the ground out a bit. And so they're mishandling him while he's injured. All right. And so all the evidence is there, this guy is legitimately dying. And the cops just like, you're the perpetrator. We're gonna cuff you. It's disgusting. So look, we'll continue.
What's happened to you, right?
He just said he'd been stabbed. The footage, the cops are actually pulled him up. They are forcing him to sit up now, giving no help at all, and now pulling the arm behind his back.
You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? Don't think you have, mate.
There you go. I don't think you have, mate. That's the line. You've been stabbed where? Yeah, I don't think you have been stabbed. Oh, gosh. And so now they tried to sit him up. He has no strength to sit up. He's just fallen off to his side, and now they're handcuffing him.
Look, that's what. And then you've got nothing. I want to keep you up.
And so they're putting the cuffs on him right now.
Hand. I can't breathe. Put the hand in the cuff.
And I'm repeating this part because I'm trying to hear the voice in the background, because there's a voice in the background that says he hasn't been stabbed, and they lie through their friggin' teeth. But now the poor guy is in distress and screaming.
Hand. I can't breathe. Put the hand in the cuff, mate.
I can't believe this. This is just like, so the footage is all on Twitter. So if you want to see the footage, you can see it, right? But he is trying to writhe on the ground, right? Dying, screaming, he can't breathe. And the police are literally handcuffing him in that moment, while he is. This is some of the worst stuff, man, since Charlie Kirk's assassination. Holy crap, the world that we're living in, guys.
Now, they released this today, if I'm not mistaken, because the trial of the guy that stabbed him is actually already over. And he was, from what I read online, he was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 21 years. Which
he deserves the death penalty.
Something...
Yeah.
Say again?
And he deserves the death penalty, this guy. And that 21 years, he'll probably get like 10 and released early for good, whatever.
I'm surprised
I
they
hate that
tried
you're
him
probably
and
right.
it wasn't found incompetent to stand trial or something like everyone else gets.
I think a certain political, people know how much of a fire keg this is. And so they're trying to get it dealt and done with really quickly. And also it's like, oh, he got justice. He got sent to prison. But it's like, no. The police need to be on trial. The family, we will get to the family. Because what they did was so disgusting, you will not believe. I'm speechless what the family of this murderer did. Okay. But it's hard to get through, but I do want to get through it because look, this stuff needs to get out. So we'll play the rest of it.
Yeah.
This is like the times this has happened to us. You've been walking, you can't
All right, so in the background you heard that someone say a racist remark or he's racist or something like that. So that's the scumbags in the background lying about what's going on.
Saying he's been stabbed. So
where
let's
is it
just
you
check
think he's
him.
been stabbed? In the face?
There. Did you hear that? Did you hear that background comment? So the police asked him where he's been stabbed, and there was a background comment that said he hasn't been stabbed. Listen carefully, guys. This is unbelievable.
Where
Let's
is it you
just
think
check
he's been stabbed? In the face?
Did you hear it then? He hasn't been stabbed. Right there. This is so infuriating. I can't believe it. So these guys, they know what's going on, right? They were there. Like, they know this guy's been stabbed. And so one just lie. He hasn't been stabbed to the police right then, while this guy is bleeding out and dying in front of him.
Oh no, but we have to check, don't we?
And so they're like, well, we do have to check. Let's finally check if he's been stabbed. He's handcuffed now on the ground.
Right.
And look, if you watch the footage, right, unfortunately, it looks like the guy is now passed. like he's completely unresponsive, right? And so the police are like, well, let's find out, let's check. And the guy is now lying completely still.
In the face.
And so it's like, oh, he's been stabbed in the face. So they finally figured that out.
Just get these to back off, get their details on that, and I'll keep hold of him.
They're going to keep holding him.
Should
Nah,
we
keep you on your side, mate. You got to retrieve then.
Say again.
Saying to him, keeping him on his side. We were set up when we had him here, but he didn't like.
This is now he's completely still. The last word he said, he can't breathe. And
Yeah. What's your name, mate? At the moment you are on.
all right, this part, man, look, the police now try to like, what's your name, mate? Right? They're trying to get information from him, and unfortunately, it looks like he's dead now. He's dead, and you can see, or you can sense, the police are starting to realize that this guy's dead, and they're like, "Oh crap!" Because they even check his eyes with light, and they say his pupils are completely unresponsive, and that's them realizing this guy's just passed away, and they contributed to it. And it's like, yeah, well done, the ideologically possessed, just completely captured, police force. The victim, you cuffed the victim, and you assisted his death. As a result, it is unbelievable, absolutely friggin' outrageous. All because the perpetrator said he's racist, and then the police just like this exposes the complete capture of the UK police force, right? They trained it. They actually get trained about, who to target, let's just say, and who to be more lenient towards, because they don't want to be perceived as racist if they arrest or,
They've taken that mentality to it, unfortunately, to the nth degree, to an extent that they can't even function as protectors of people. There was a clip a couple years ago. I think it was in Germany. It was not the UK, but you had a dude that was going around stabbing people in public, and that was we'll say it was a melanin American. He was a highly melanated, right? Mm-hmm. And you had another German gentleman, a citizen, who was trying to stop him from stabbing people. The cop enters the scene and tackles the guy, trying to stop to get the guy off of him, off of the perpetrator with the knife. The guy with the knife stands up and stabs the cop in the neck and kills him.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
that is the current state of the UK and a lot of
the
Europe.
cop died too.
Yeah, the cop died. You'd think that friggin' learned by at this point. Oh, yeah, I saw that. That was outrageous as well. I cannot believe.
Shad, Litdev, we could just conquer them. We could just conquer Europe. Okay, we really could. Who are they going to stop? How are they going to stop us? With what? Give me 10 guys with an arsenal at home and a pickup truck. I will go and take over the UK. I'll do it. And I'll only be king for a short while, and then at which point I will relinquish my power.
So, after seeing that,
democracy.
I know, right? After seeing that, the UK Prime Minister, Keir friggin' Starmer, what do you think he blames?
Probably the white guys.
I mean, close, but no. That would look too bad. So it is a complete deflection, right?
With his stormtroopers.
So this is Keir Starmer. Look at this. And we must end the cycle of tragedy by tackling the horror of knife
crime.
He blames
the knife crime.
Knife crime for this.
Dude, I guess he doesn't
let him have the knife. You let him have the knife because of your racist double standards.
In fact, I think the lesson here is actually, what could stop a bad guy with a knife? A good guy with a knife.
A good guy with a knife. Absolutely, Litdev. This piece of crap does not want to actually acknowledge the main issue here. Maybe there's a cultural component, okay, associated with this. drastically so. Why did the police target the victim and handcuff him because of an accusation of racism? Well, what's going on there, Kier? What a absolute worm. What a vile piece of crap. So does not address what actually is going on, complete deflection, and then uses it for his own political bullcrap. By now, he might use this thing, just like the Bondi attack in Australia, to take away the rights of law-abiding citizens. Instead of actually punishing the criminals, he might use it as his own political, propaganda to take away more law-abiding citizens' rights.
There is a saying, and I might be getting this wrong, so I'm trying to try and paraphrase it. Sympathy for the criminal is abuse for their victims, something along that lines. And I believe that completely. Yeah. This is one of the more disgusting things I think I've ever seen. I'm glad the guy did get put through trial and get an actual sentence. But Henry Nowak, rest in peace, brother. I just want to say that. Shad, just rest in peace. God bless.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
Especially to the family that have to live with this.
Well, the trial happened, but do you want to know what the family of the murderer did in the trial? Vakram Digwa's family attacked Henry Nowak's family in court today, shouting racist at them.
I think we did the same thing with the Carmelo Anthony, where they bashed the father of the murdered victim and they doxed him, and I think they swatted him or something like that too. Meanwhile, the guy that killed his son is getting $1 million. I
can't believe this. The family are actually complicit in this, or like incredibly so. The family helped the murderer hide the murder weapon. The knife, okay, that came out. All right, they are complicit. They need to be charged, at minimum deported, if not thrown in prison as well, for aiding and abetting a murderer, basically, okay? And they, look at this, no remorse at all. No remorse or sympathy for the victim, okay? And this comes from a cultural thing. Carl Benjamin has actually covered this a bit, and there was a great stream Carl Benjamin did with Arch, and it's on their Stanford Bridge podcast, where they talk about the cultural practice of Izzat. Have you guys heard of Izzat? Mm-hmm. Where it is about, Izzat is the practice of tribal identity, loyalty to their family and tribe, even when their family is in the wrong, okay? Because that is the higher moral, framework that they've been conditioned and raised in. And so because of this tribal identity and Izzat, the family are protecting a blatant, cold-blooded murderer, okay? Because of this ingrained cultural practice. And when you understand this and you can identify it, like this is the exact outcropping of this cultural practice right here, okay? It's identifiable. Right here. This is proof that they are practicing this cultural ingrained indoctrination, right? When you identify,
I did a few deep dives into the whole Izzat honor system thing, and it is bizarre because it is not based on our cultures are based on shame of wrongdoing, right?
Yes.
And their backwards honor system is shame on being called out, and if you can get one up on somebody that's calling you out, that preserves your honor somehow. And this is why they'll get involved in really scummy illegal things, but to them, their honor is intact because they're getting one up on you.
Yes. If you succeed in the deception, that is honorable. The dishonorable thing was not doing the wrong thing. It is being caught. And that's why the family then doubled down to try and deflect the shame of being caught. And they will not acknowledge the truth and reality that their family member committed a crime. This is why, no joke, something that is too horrifying for me to want to try and actually dive into and cover is the inquiry that Rupert Lowe has done into the rape gang travesty in the UK. Just like today, he's done is it parliamentary kind of presentation or something like that, where he's releasing the findings of his inquiry into the rape gang. I saw one line from what some of the stuff that was being revealed in this thing, and it is some of the worst crimes against humanity you could imagine, right? It is unbelievable, the atrocities that has been done to these young girls. Okay.
And the worst part of it is they hide behind their culture.
Yes,
They didn't know better. It's part of their culture, so they didn't understand that it was wrong. Not only that you committed a crime does not excuse you from the consequences of it, no matter which country you go into, especially here in Western countries where something that egregiously bad. I'm on the word egregious a lot today. I'm sorry.
Well, that's true. You're looking for words that describes how insanely just disgusting this is. And you need words like egregious, vile, disgusting. And to me, they don't even do it justice. Words do not convey the level of depravity, vile, disgusting, corruption, or everything. There's like the level of depravity. It's just, you can't, words don't do it enough, right? But well, what you're saying there, John, is that the families protected the perpetrators that raped these young British girls, right? And like the mothers and sisters protected these rapists, right? Family members. And not only that, the brothers and even fathers, they often would, I can't believe this, right? Where some of the findings of this inquiry turns out like one guy coerced, manipulated, even kidnapped a young girl, now has her under duress and is going to do horrible things with him. But before he decides to call his mates, friends, brothers. Hey, I got this girl. Want to come and tag team me on her? And I think about it. I think about the level of disgusting, vile, like disconnection from morality you have to be. Imagine if one of your mates gives you a call and say, hey, I got this girl I just trapped. Do you want to come over and rape her with me? What world do you have to live in to think, sure, I'm going to get in on that?
It's like an act of war. It's what they do during war.
Yeah, that is literally what has happened in Britain. And then the family members have tried to deflect, hide, and protect the perpetrators, just like we're seeing, like the family members tried to help hide the dagger, and then attacked the family of the victim.
And you know who's not calling this whole culture out, Shad? The feminists that think that are so afraid of a handmaid's tale coming true and coming to life. They say that's their biggest worry, is that there's a pervasive rape culture that will force them to breed for men. And what's happening over here? No,
this is kind of like the Handmaid's Tale.
Bury their head in the sand. Sorry, go ahead.
At least in the Handmaid's Tale, there's like a structure, like a government that kind of regulates everything. This is just like Wild West. This is kind of what they're getting. The nightmare.
And the government's disarmed the women that it's affecting the most.
Then no one even cares about the rape and murder. Like, it's not, at least in the Handmaid's Tale, it's kind of regulated. Like, you're not really supposed to harm these people. But this one is just Wild West rape and murder, and they just cover it up. Possibly, didn't they find the cops? Didn't they find the cops were in on it? Like, some of the cops were in on these gangs too.
Like I said, it is so disgusting. I actually can't bear to listen to all of it because it emotionally upsets me too much. It's that bad. It is that bad. But it's out on Twitter if you want to see what Rupert Lowe is sharing about it. And look, good on him for doing it. He needs to do it. It is so disgusting, horrifies too much. I read like one sentence from it and I'm like, I can't handle it. That's like, we're talking about young girls' tongues being nailed to walls so they couldn't move while they're getting raped. That was the line I read. I was just like, I need to step back. I cannot handle this. Holy crap. And there are a list of atrocities like that. I'm just like, holy crap.
But you're racist if you call it this out. You're racist. Didn't they say they're going to delete this? That they were trying to like erase and delete all the findings. I think I read that too.
Rupert Lowe said that going through all the accounts of the victims was the worst 2 weeks of his life. And he's the only politician in the UK that has had the balls to expose it, because it is so bad that if this actually got proper attention, The police and the politicians that led to this state of affairs should be tried for treason. And I am not kidding. I am not kidding. Like the level of corruption and evil that has led to this happening.
Tried and executed for treason. I mean, like firing squad or something, or hanging.
I'll bring the rope.
It is unbelievable. Actually, like speechless, right? And so there are such issues with this kind of cultural indoctrination where the family actually defended it. And so here are some of the details that got revealed in the trial. So shocking details read out by the father of Mark Nowak regarding the murder of his son. As blood filled his chest, Henry Nowak tried desperately to escape. Instead, he was chased and subjected to further abuse. So they actually chased him down and stabbed him more. When police arrived, Henry, we saw, was lying on the ground, unable to sit up and clearly suffering severe medical distress. Obvious, and the police didn't see it. With his final words, he told officers 9 times that he could not breathe. He also repeatedly told them that he had been stabbed 4 times. One officer responded, "I don't think you have, mate." The police later claimed they had been misled by the murderer. Yes, we saw that. They literally told the police he had not been stabbed. You can hear it audibly. Henry's father, Mark Nowak, believes the truth is far simpler. Both Henry and a member of the public who called 999 told police Henry had been stabbed. So the member of the public that called it in told police earlier that he'd been stabbed. Despite these warnings, officers failed to believe them. Henry was dragged across the gravel. We actually saw, I mentioned, they literally dragged him out, right? He was dragged across the gravel and placed in handcuffs. Police arrested Henry for assault and read him his rights. According to his father, these were the last words Henry heard before he died. Mark Nowak says his son was denied even the dignity of a proper death. Henry should never have died on the streets of Southampton while in police custody. Meanwhile, his killer, Vakram Digwa, was afforded a level of decency Henry was not. Reports suggested he was not even handcuffed when arrested. Think about that. This guy who could barely, he was not a threat, couldn't even move, in clear medical distress. They're going to handcuff him because here's a worry. The guy who's saying, "Oh, he was a racist," but the suspected, stabber, "You're not a threat. We won't even handcuff you." And then officers reportedly took this guy to the kitchen and allowed him to choose his own food.
They let him get a snack after he murdered somebody, and then just let the victim bleed out to death. It really is disgusting. It's beyond words. And
cops should be in prison.
Yeah,
but they're not going to, because probably what they all act like.
Mm-hmm.
All this guy did was kill a white man. That's not a crime in the UK. Not really.
So here are some stuff that has come out from the trial. Let me try and get some of these things in order, because statements from the judge. Okay. Actually, no, I need to share the right one. So let me share the screen here. Judge Bill Molesley. This is from him. Speaking in the perpetrator's language, "You confessed to stabbing him 3 times. And then he goes to say, you lied in your statement. Your further statement you modified and added more lies. The jury rejects your defense, and so do I." This was good on the judge for saying this, because this speaks
at least the judge had some balls in this case.
Yeah, exactly. Like
a British judge with balls.
Yeah. Well, this speaks to his act. This is to shame his family. Okay. You have brought shame to your family and your community. You've increased racial tension. Good on him for saying that.
He knew how to explicitly insult him. I like that.
Yeah. Good on him for saying that. But I think the guy's getting off easy. He deserves the death penalty.
Do they even do that in the UK?
No. But good old Rupert Lowe is trying to bring it back, baby, because these are the cases where it needs it. So the judge, says this: the large dagger is addition to the kirpan. It is often a Sikh tradition to have a second knife. This religious privilege comes with a responsibility only afforded to them, right? And it's not for, it doesn't seem like it's for a religion. It's an excuse so they can be armed, right? It is only to be used as a last resort in self-defense. I find that odd. It's like, hang on, are they allowed? Like, that's the judge actually saying that this knife can be used in self-defense. Well, why can't other people have a knife for self-defense then? That one pisses me off. Okay, so goes on to say,
what happened to the whole thing about real men don't need knives or whatever? Like that was the whole thing to have everyone give up their guns and knives. Like you're a coward if you have a knife or a gun for self-defense. That was the whole thing.
You're a coward if you defend yourself against a murderer. You have a duty to retreat. That's what pisses me off the most.
You should call the police instead.
Call the police who are minutes away when you have seconds
to save your life. Yeah, exactly.
And then when they arrive, they'll arrest you and let you die.
God, I cannot believe it. This is where the judge exposes some of the stuff that the family did, and it infuriates me. So 12 liters of blood was found in the victim's lungs. He would not have survived no matter how much aid, which doesn't excuse the police. They should have given him aid regardless. Henry also had his face slashed, so there was visible injury on his face. He would not have been able to defend himself. Then, this is quoting, your brother showed him shortly as you were filming Henry Nowak in his last moments. You filmed his suffering, ignoring his pleas for help, even as his condition deteriorated very fast. And then I think this is talking to the perpetrator. You lied to your brother that you had been attacked, falsely claiming Henry called you a packy. That's where I got that's the slur that they're using. He called him a packy. That's worthy of grabbing out a knife. Friggin' hell. You are the only person making this claim, and it is completely at odds with Henry's precious character. So they're actually saying, we don't even think this is true. That doesn't even seem like Henry called him this. And then this one is what sets me off. You told your mother to take your sheath and belt away to hide the evidence. You did not try to help Henry. You continued to obstruct the course of justice. You even took Henry's phone. He took Henry's phone, guys. He took Henry's phone, which contained incriminating evidence of him. That's what this.
I'm glad at least he's going to prison. At least he's going to prison.
Yeah,
I would think.
At least he deserves more. Like, this is just so unbelievable. But I can't. He gave the knife and sheath to his mother to hide the evidence. Charge his mother. Charge everyone involved in this.
Yeah, she's complicit? Like that's
complicit.
That's a crime. Hiding the murder weapon afterwards to confuse the police. That's a crime.
That you're 100% correct, Dev. Like, charge the mother.
Send the mother to prison too. She's complicit in a murder. She's complicit in murder.
The only way to combat this incompatible culture of izzat and not looking at morality is by showing the penalties to this community. If you break this law, this is the result. We will and that's why the penalties need to be severe, because it seems like that's the only thing that they'll actually notice, right? The family don't think this guy did any wrong. They're calling the family of the victim racists, right? And they like, no joke, I don't think this guy feels like he did any wrong in murdering, right? And I don't think the family thinks he did wrong either. So the whole situation is unbelievable. And the mainstream media has barely been covering it. Think about the seismic difference of what happened with George Floyd, where it was everywhere.
There should be statues of the murder victim in this case. There should be statues. Yeah. There should be marches. There should be just people. There should be the mayor. The mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, needs to go up to this guy's casket and cry at his feet. All right,
right. But they won't. They won't.
Become his bitch, Sadiq Khan. Become his bitch at his funeral. All right. Slobber all over the ground beneath him and beg forgiveness on hand and knee.
Bonfire at the nearest police station.
But the thing is, Dev, they won't, because They
They're
can't
trying to cover
grift-
it up.
Well, exactly.
They're
They
trying
can't grift political capital off of this because it exposes their ideology and agenda. All right, that bringing in all these immigrants from cultures that do not share the values of Western civilization and are at odds with it, and literally think like there are a lot of individuals. This comes out in the rape gang stuff, right? That they think these innocent young girls are lesser creatures beneath them, which is why it's fine to rape them because because they see them, if they're not of the right religion, not of the right culture, everything like that, they are lesser kind of just chattel to be abused. All right. A lot of them have that viewpoint. It is vile in the extreme. And these are the type of people that Britain has just been flooding their country with. Okay. The politicians are culpable for stuff like this and the rape gang stuff. And that's why they've been hiding it, because they know, like, if justice was actually served, like true justice, their heads would be on the chopping block for what they did. And so they try and hide it. The corruption and the cover-up is unbelievable. This is why the mainstream media isn't covering it, and the politicians aren't talking about it properly.
To put a finer point on it, if you import the third world, you will become the third world. And let's thank God for Twitter, right? Thank God that we have an Elon Musk owned Twitter so that we have the opportunity that news like this gets out there and can actually be seen by people and get shared and go wide. Because if we have to depend on what passes for the mainstream media these days, we would never hear anything. We would probably be just as indoctrinated as the UK is.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes me concerned, because this is the time, like, if Australia doesn't do something quick, this is where Australia is headed. We will become the UK. And so it's just a worry, man. It's a worry. And I pray that the UK will be able to save themselves. And one of the only, political parties that is determined to try and do some real stuff, to have real change, is Restore Britain. Rupert Lowe. He is the champion that has been actually exposing the rape game stuff. Like I said, that stuff only came out today. And I saw like just even one account and it horrified me. I was just like, it's unbelievable. So I pray for the West. I pray for the West. And I hope we can save ourselves. Oh, I told you that's a heavy one. That is a heavy one. But it needs to be exposed, needs to be talked about. But shifting gears, an odd thing is going on, and oddly enough, I don't know too much about this. I've just seen it a lot online. But John, this is something you've been covering a lot lately.
Not just covering, just deep diving over the weekend, because this really boosted off. So, if you're not aware, there is a bit of a big scandal in the Lego world. Okay. This all started actually a couple of years ago. You have a guy named Brian. Brian's dad was older. He kind of got sicker, and he had a huge Lego Star Wars collection that was apparently worth up to $200,000. In the Lego community, the older sets that get retired end up becoming worth money because Lego enthusiasts really will pay for stuff. And you can see I've got a little bit of it myself over here. Me and my youngest son have been rebuilding these old 90s sci-fi sets from the 90s. These are cool. This is where my love of sci-fi really started, collecting a lot of these sets. These things are awesome.
That's wicked. I love it. So cool.
That's just what I'm doing. I'm not huge into the Lego collecting community, but I've kind of got like a toe in because of this. This came across my purview. So he brought it to a store called Bricks and Minifigs. This is a corporation that it's one of the biggest Lego resellers corporation. You can just go to these stores, get loose Legos, like retired Lego sets, stuff like that. And he signed he made a deal with the owners of it. It was this extremely woke couple.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, Shad, you want to hear about the great butterfly effect of this? This is all Trump's fault.
Of course it is.
Trump was. They didn't blame it. This is what I
fault could it be?
Listen, the original owners of the store were a couple, and they were so overcome with TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. They actually thought that this guy, her husband, is a woke indie author, and he's got woke indie books. I looked into them; they're ridiculous. They actually thought that our country was going to become so fascist under Trump's second term. They're like, we got to get out of here. We got to move to Germany, who's less fascist. That's why they were trying to sell the store.
These leftist types they really want the fascist regime.
Right.
They want the fascism in America, so just like the feminists want the Handmaid's Tale.
Yes,
like,
joke.
they're so sad it didn't happen.
Well, the thing is that the challenge that they find, Dev, is that there's not enough fascism to justify their advocacy and their virtue signaling, which is why they invent it.
There's not enough supply to meet the demand.
Exactly. So now Superman's nuclear family is fascist.
That's why it doesn't meet the demand.
Feminism. So manspreading and mansplaining is now invented.
It was the same deal with racism. When Barack Obama was president, the supply of actual racists did not meet the demand, so they just called everyone racist to justify it. Exactly. Anyway, so these folks were selling them. They were selling in the process of selling the store. The corporation that owns Bricks and Minifigs basically sent in some new owners, and the new owners basically pushed them out. They did get done dirty, right? I don't want to get into that, but.
So this is the video where they're explaining. They say they took our Lego store and life savings.
Yes.
So that's them explaining what happened to them. But all right, so I want to be on board with the process of events. YouTuber gets a massive inheritance of legacy Lego sets worth 200,000. Takes it to a Lego store to evaluate.
What Bricks and Minis does is they helps resell them. They signed a consignment deal, and the consignment basically says we'll take your Lego sets, make them part of our inventory. We will sell them, and then we will give you the proceeds of whatever they sell. And obviously, Bricks and Minifigs keeps a little bit of that, kind of like a GameStop kind of thing. But anyway, when they switched owners, the new owners basically forced their way in and forced the old owners out, and they decided not to recognize the consignment deal. And Brian, when he started to confront them about this, mind you, this is the process of the 2 years leading up to the video in question.
Wow.
They basically said, look, you can sue us if you want. Go ahead and sue us. We'll just drag this out so long that it'll cost you more than the cost of the actual Lego sets. And the police did nothing. The CEO of Bricks and Minifigs, a guy named Eamon McNabb, refused to acknowledge them. And so he tried to actually get another YouTuber to get in on this. And their channel, when they started sounding the alarm, their channel got shut down.
Really?
Enter Reckless Ben. Ben's another YouTuber who does some other stuff. I've never heard of
this guy here.
Yes.
Okay.
I made that little image in AI. Just needed something for the thread because I wanted to collect all this in one master thread.
Yeah, you got it all.
He's done some other stuff before, including infiltrating cults, interestingly enough. So
this man spent his life collecting what's now known as.
That's probably too loud, but
this is
right.
This is where Ben comes in to try and help Brian either get his Legos back or get compensation for them. And so this is an hour long, and I can't cover every nook and cranny of this because he goes to so many extremes, tricks, and everything to try and get these people to at least acknowledge them. Every time they come, after a while, they start to recognize them. They tell him the same thing. We're not, we don't got the Legos. We're not going to help you. We're just going to call the cops on you. That's the CEO of Bricks and Minifigs, Ammon right there. That's one of the ladies at the store. Every time he shows up, and they did a bunch of fun YouTuber tricks, including creating their own company called We Steal From Old People, subtitle Bricks and Minifigs, because apparently there's no law that says you can't put the subtitle above the actual title. They created their own company to try and force them to sue them so they could bring it out in court. They went through a lot of stuff, and ultimately, by the end of video 1, I'm moving at an abbreviated pace here, people, because there's a lot of ins and outs of this. They obfuscated, they denied, they shut down, they did everything they could to avoid any kind of accountability for this. Ultimately, they ended up suing them in small claims court by like 10 people. And because Bricks and Minifigs owners did not show up in court, they won by default. And the video one ends, coming to find out they shut the whole store down to avoid paying them anything.
Well,
And-
that sounds like they spend the money and they don't have anything left to pay.
Right. And they don't want to take accountability for it. The CEO of Bricks and Minifigs has made this into a PR disaster for him, because their way their company works is they do franchisees. It's individual owners in different cities that run their stores individually, but they kind of answer to a corporate structure. And the CEO is just dug his own grave here. He released a video he went on a live stream to address these allegations and didn't answer any of the questions. It was a lot of corporate PR lawyer talk. So the only thing that he did say that might accomplish anything was, hey, Brian, come sit down with a mediator of your choice, no cameras or anything, and we'll hash this out and we'll get this stuff, your either compensation or your Lego sets, back to you. Which Brian was holding up his hands and saying, hey, I tried to do that for 2 years. It wasn't until the negative PR came down on his head that they really did something. So that might have been where the story would end, except there's a part 2 that just dropped over the weekend. Now, the part 2 kind of shifts the narrative from the Bricks and Minifigs CEOs over to the American Fork, Utah Police Department, who were basically weaponized against all of his efforts to try and make the store owners accountable for what they did. So they won in court, right? They won in court because I forget their names. There's 2 guys. They lost in court when Ben sued them in small claims court. They're trying to get the compensation back. They're trying to serve him papers. This guy has the cops basically on speed dial coming at him every time they're even on the street. Now, here's where things get a little muddied as far as, like, they've arrested him, they swatted him, they brought down this everything on Ben's head in order that the judge actually tried to get him arrested for no reason with no bail. Ben's only mistake was when he got into an interrogation room, after he got swatted and his whole team, he talked to the cops. Brother, he should have lawyered up. And they found reasons to try and keep him without bail. The judge decreed that it was ridiculous, released him. He got released almost immediately afterwards. A nameless warrant got put out for him for no bail. So Ben had to escape to Mexico, where he is currently. And now this gets a little muddied on social media.
This is like Lego, man. This is like mafia.
This is all over Legos.
Lego.
You would think like there's a scandal over Legos would end a guy fleeing to Mexico.
It's $200,000 worth of
money.
property.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
$200,000 worth of property. However it comes through. Now on Twitter, this got a little obfuscated somewhat because in the second video. And especially on Twitter, Ben was kind of insinuating like, hey, all these guys are Mormons in this town, and they all go to the same church. Now, do I believe
suddenly I'm invested? It's like, all right.
Do I believe that there have been some, like blocks of religious folks that have used their faith as kind of a mafia tactic? I do believe that's happened. I don't think that's what's happening here. I think this is typical small town tyranny. It just so happens they're all Mormon because it's Utah. You wouldn't be able to throw a stone in Utah and not hit at least 2 or 3 Mormons at the same time.
And so on the Mormon thing, right? Of course, you could come across the occasional dodgy member of our faith. They exist. We're not all perfect, shockingly. And funnily enough, if you want to find the higher density of people who say they're Latter-day Saints but don't really live the values, everything like that, it's in Utah. Because in Utah, there's a lot of people who are just raised in the culture and they're not really converted to the faith and they don't end up living it. And so Latter-day Saints who live outside of Utah or the US, right, have a term for some of these Mormons that don't really take it seriously. We call them Molly Mormons. And we actually saw, Molly Mormons. And when I was a missionary and entering to the mission field, some of them, you could tell that some of these missionaries, not all of them, some of them out of Utah were rock solid, but there were a number of them where you could tell that they were just there because that was the culture, that was the race. They're not really serious about it. They're not, and they don't last. They do not last in the mission field at all. And so yeah,
I think it was just something for the video. It is a coincidence. He managed to point it out, but again, it's Utah. A lot of people out there are Mormon. A lot of them probably just call themselves. I do think it's just small town tyranny and the police force kind of circling the wagon around to protect their townspeople from what they view as some jackass from another state trying to make a bunch of noise and bother
think
people.
About it. It would be pretty easy for them to spin a narrative. I'm talking about the store and stuff like that, where they could easily say, there is this YouTuber just constantly coming to harass us and accuse us of, crime that we haven't committed. And if you're just a community member hearing that, who are you going to believe? The random YouTuber that seems to be harassing people, or the people that you generally know and expects to be honest? And so I can very much see how a narrative could be spun to make the community want to protect this store when it seems like this store actually is guilty of some serious wrongdoing. From what
bottom line, this is kind of bottom line. The two store owners, namely the one he was trying to serve the papers to, his name escapes me at the moment. Johnson is the last name. Just trying to do everything they can to avoid accountability, and the cops.
Sorry, I need to jump on. If people are saying this, they're saying Molly Mormon isn't semi-Mormon. They're different terminology then, because we over here in Australia, we've used Molly Mormon in the context of members who don't take the faith that seriously. But they're saying in Utah and other places, it's for people who take it way too seriously and are far too more. So I've also heard Jack Mormon. That's been a term as well. And so,
there were instances of the cops arresting them for things that were not true. He probably used the Freedom of Information Act to get the body cam footage, but it came back redacted because seems like a lot of it, what's redacted is stuff that makes them look incompetent or realize that they know they don't have anything on them. And they were telling him to his face, like when he was trying to serve the papers outside the guy's house, hey, there's a process to go through. He's like, we're doing the process. These are the papers. The cops even tried to serve the papers to this guy, and he refused them, says it didn't even look like court documents. It is a ridiculous amount. There's a part 3. It's on his Patreon. I have not subscribed and watched it yet, but I'm sure we're going to get this for too long because this really went viral. This really blew up. And it put a humongous negative spotlight on both Bricks and Minifigs as a corporation, as well as the American Fork Utah Police Department, and just how bullyish and corrupt they are coming across. They put out a statement with really low volume, by the way. Ben put out his statement responding to them. Ben's got a lot of video evidence. Him and all his buddies, they had GoPros, they had hand cameras, they had phone cameras. They were basically videoing themselves 24 hours a day the whole time. The cops probably didn't realize how much they were filming until after these videos dropped. And I got to imagine that they're flop sweating a little bit because there's only so much they can cover up before this goes to. Lego themselves has not commented on this, and I don't know if they actually will because I don't think they have much in the way.
Yeah. It'll be smart for them to just ignore it. Honestly.
Yeah. One, their headquarters is in like Sweden. So this doesn't put a bad light on Lego itself so much as it does the Bricks and Minifigs Corporation. And that's, but it is a bit of a stink. If you check out anything on the Lego YouTube side, that's all they're talking about. Really? Because this is like the scandal of the century for the Lego YouTubers. They're like, normally we don't have anything to talk about.
I know. Lego scandal, man. It's wild. And it's breaking containment. It's like that is starting to flood my feed, and I wasn't following it at all. So.
Yeah. It really got signal boosted a lot by Moist Critical started talking about it. Then Asmongold talked about it. Ben went on the H3 podcast and talked to them about it not that long ago. And I got to imagine we're going to see his face a lot more in the coming weeks and months. I really want to see this guy get either the sets back or get fair compensation for what they stole from him.
Absolutely.
Justice. Like this interesting trend of like these stories that the big powerful people wanted buried, breaking containment and seeping out to the public. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's wild. Lego. Who would have thought that such a controversy? And I hope the guy gets either the Lego or the compensation back, because let's talk about a lot of money at the end of the day with that one. Wow. That's wild. Gentlemen, hey, we need to cover something because this is like, it's just been getting worse and worse. Everything that I've been hearing about Supergirl is just making it worse and worse. Like this movie, it's really looking like it's just a disaster in the making. And we're talking about constantly fumbling the ball with this. And the thing is,
the popcorn bucket. The popcorn bucket is a travesty.
Oh, terrible! That's the popcorn bucket. That isn't a popcorn bucket.
It's a toy. That's a toy. It's not a popcorn
cup.
Yeah, like everything about this film is just making it worse. And Supergirl could have been really fun. I'm an OG Supergirl fan, right? When I was a young lad, I had a crush on Supergirl. And so, you know, the old Supergirl film, right? I watched that a lot as a young guy, young boy, not because it was a good film.
It was not.
But because I thought Supergirl was really cute in it. And I liked watching her, right? But here's the thing that people don't understand. Well, Hollywood, DC, they don't seem to understand. Supergirl originally was a boys brand franchise, okay? Boys read superhero comic books. Supergirl was originally made for boys, but now, oh no, female protagonist. This needs to be for women, and they are feminizing it to the extreme. And all the marketing seems to try and be targeting women, and it's going to be a disaster as a result. Because guess what? Even superhero stuff that is made to cater for women are not consumed by women because women generally just are not into superhero stuff. It's not a hard calculation, but they haven't figured it out. They think Wonder Woman was really popular. Which demographic was the larger consumer base of what? It was men.
Oh, Captain Marvel. But how did the Marvels do? Where was the Barbie crowd when the Marvels absolutely face planted into the ditch?
Yep.
It turns out that no matter what you do with superhero stuff, it's still superhero stuff, and it's still going to be a male-dominated genre.
Exactly.
It would be very, very strange if you try to bring in more men to a romance. Like even if you have a romance series that's led by a male, like a male lead, it's still going to be for women.
Mm-hmm. And even Chad is saying, because I've heard Gary say, so Gary, he owned a comic book store. His experience was it was all dudes buying Supergirl comics. Yes. But now they have they are really working to alienate the original fan base and then try and capture a female base. And again, it's not going to work. And so there are these comments from the directors. Now they're trying to say, how much does these comments excite you for Supergirl, right? Director Craig, doubles down on the feminist millennial therapy trauma message of Supergirl. Says Supergirl has a lot of trauma, a lot of demons. She's unapologetic. Remember how, the actress saying she's messy and they're trying to capture the whole thing. It's okay to be imperfect. Embrace who you are, women. You should be messy and be proud. And now it's also, that the whole victim narrative that is more stereotypically represented in women usually, where it's like she's dealing with trauma. Can't you relate? Can't you just identify with it? And so she's unapologetic to get have a character that can be punky and edgy and not take off those rough edges. Because remember, right? She's a mess. And it's like none of that sounds like an appealing, interesting superhero character to me. And I think for most guys, they're gonna. And by the way, just look at the promotional material. Like, is there been anything of this Supergirl showing her smile? Well, she it's like constant resting, unhappy face.
That looks like Sid from Toy Story in a wig. Have you seen that Photoshop?
I think I have. Thing is, though, I don't think she's an unattractive woman when they actually dress her up to look attractive. She looked great in House of the Dragon. I think they're going out of their way to make messy hair, plain looking. That doesn't look like there's any.
She's relatable to the feminists.
Exactly. They're trying to make the actress look less attractive so they can attract average women, because average women find attractive women intimidating, and
the party, the drunkenness, that's kind of really attractive to the feminist kind of thing. Also, it's kind of the Billie Eilish feel, like this messy, frumpy, feel like she hasn't showered in a week and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's attractive.
Yeah, that's just like she looks trashy. And again, that's the whole they're leaning into she's messy and isn't that punk rock? And it's like, no, that just looks like an awful character that you don't want to root for and not interested in. And like genuinely, and I'm not saying you can't have like, messy characters, but if you're trying to sell us on these, characteristics, it's not going to work out. And so there's been more stuff like coming across my feed about Supergirl, and everything just seems like missing the mark. Just effing go for it. How Supergirl star Millie Alcock learned to ignore the trolls and become a punk rock superhero. And ignore the trolls. Well, I think Disparu hit the nail on the head. Is like ignoring your audience. Oh, because the people complaining about this, they're not trolls. They're your target audience, DC. And yeah,
how does strategy work out for She-Hulk, by the way?
Yeah, think about that. And it's like, ignoring your audience is really bad plan for success. Just kind of pointing that out. Because remember, like, I'm their target audience. I grew up with Supergirl. She was one of my favorite superheroes because I thought she was really cute, right? And so I have that kind of nostalgic kind of, appreciation of Supergirl still, that I'd love a good superhero movie. And I look at my wife who has blonde hair as like kind of like my Supergirl. And so I have that kind of connection. I like Supergirl has appeal and potential, and they are just ruining it. Like they're from so much of the promotional material and the comments of the actress. You remember how she was saying that, people were commenting on that she perhaps doesn't embody the role, and they were the minority of comments, but then she responded by saying, it's really weird how people want to claim ownership over female bodies. It's like, no. People comment on the casting male or female constantly, but she wanted to frame it in like this feminist lens to make her out to be a victim. There's been a new one that's come across recently. Supergirl actress mocks critics, says a lot of them are Christian dads. I feel a bit targeted by that because I'm a Christian dad.
Me too. And wouldn't you know it, I happen to have a daughter who watched that first season of Supergirl with me. It was the cutest thing. We were living out of a hotel after the flood destroyed our house. Yeah. And the first episode of Supergirl on CBS aired. A lot of people forget about this. It aired on CBS before CW. And I was like, girl, come look at this. And she watched it. She was only 4 and just still learning how to talk some. She couldn't say Supergirl. She kept saying, it's Sue. And she tied a little towel around one of her Barbies and was flying it around the room. I told my wife, I've got to go I left. I went to Walmart, immediately bought her a Supergirl doll and brought it back to her. And she loved it. She did the Supergirl thing for years. I'm not bringing her to this because the actress decided to insult me and insult my faith and, me as a Christian dad,
And guys, look, she can smile. But funnily enough, it's not in the film. It's like she's on the promotional thing smiling. She
looks like a horse that's about to bite an apple through a picket fence.
I think she looks fine. And in fact, I think she looks better smiling here than the moody face that's constant. So I will be interested to see if she actually
Captain Marvel face. Captain Marvel.
That's a good way to put it. Yep.
Can't have to have a scowl like she just hates you.
Yeah,
right. I think a lot of what has gotten lost in we were talking about what women like to put in their own literature and what they see as empowering. What they kind of forget when it comes to a lot of this stuff is it's not that hard to have a female character that appeals to guys. And it doesn't necessarily involve smiling. It make it seem like you're not a bitch to be around. I'm sorry.
You're true.
Make it seem like you're not insufferable to stand near. And they'll probably like you.
The smiling thing is interesting because I people might try to attack me saying, "Gosh," because the whole it's sexist for a woman to tell a woman to smile. No, like smiling just makes people look more pleasant, both men and women. Okay, and so
Superman smiling a lot.
Yeah, Superman smiles a lot, and I think that's good. And so I'm just saying, I'm not seeing Supergirl smile a lot, and it makes her look and feel like she's just going to be an insufferable. Exactly what John said, an insufferable person to be around and not an enjoyable character to watch a film that's based around it. And I highlighted a comment before in chat. We want our superheroes to be aspirational, look up to. That's the whole point of superheroes. They can be messy and flawed at times and things like that. But the whole concept is that they rise above it, where all the promotional material for Supergirl at this point seems like instead of rising above her flaws, it's going to be embracing her flaws. And everyone just, the whole feminist trope of embracing who they are, and everyone has to just come to the realization that they were perfect all along and they were the bigots for holding them to higher standards. Basically, that was the whole narrative of Captain Marvel. She was perfect all along. It was the men holding her down, suppressing her power, and if you take away those barriers, suddenly she can embrace who she really is. Right? It's constant feminist theme that you see again and again, and it speaks to, you know, a lot of women's insecurities and things like that. And I'm not saying it can't be done, but when it's done, it's usually done in a different framing where it's not shaming other people for not understanding how special they were. Oftentimes, when female-coded storytelling has the trope of the girl character is special all along, it's the male characters, especially the love interest, they saw that from the beginning. And no one else did. And so they appreciate them, and they kind of get built up and supported by the male seeing how special this seemingly average girl is and building up. And that's so much represented in Twilight. Like, Twilight actually is clever in the way that it does this, because it actually gives Bella a superpower that very few people understand, but Edward realizes and recognizes, because he can't read her mind, and he can read everyone else's mind. And so he recognizes there's something special about her. And so there's actually a kind of inbuilt theme of a broader female storytelling trope built into Twilight. But when done poorly, it just comes off as resentful. And
I kind of feel like a lot of people are going to end up going to this just to see Jason Momoa as Lobo, which
is a big draw, yeah.
Cool. But given that Lobo is like basically the Wolverine of their universe, and he's got the healing factor, I think it might just be an excuse for her to punch his head off and taunt him in ways that you couldn't with superheroes that are not functionally immortal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not enticed to see this movie in the slightest.
No, and the example you shared is very important, where you might have taken your daughter to it. I might have taken my daughter to this as well. Okay. I love my daughter finding great media that she can, latch onto and appreciate. And so I've shown her Freerin, and she loves Freerin. She loves the character. She's cosplayed at Freerin, right? And Freerin is a great character for her to enjoy and all that. And so it's fun finding good media to share with your kids. This ain't it. In fact, they've attacked their potential fan base, Christian dads, and your response was poetic. I highlighted it before. It's like, okay, well, screw you. I won't take my daughter to see it now. And so Gary actually from Nerdrotic shared this, where it's like, it's like we've seen this thing before, where they attack their fan base, and then suddenly, why aren't any men going to want to see it?
Man, this movie is not for you. Why didn't men come see this movie?
How many times have we seen this since that movie came out? Like,
it happens over and over and over.
The hilarious thing, these are real articles. This is the real headlines from the same, website, where it's like, straight white males, this movie's not for you. Then later, why aren't straight white males refusing? Why are straight white males refusing?
Why indeed? Well, we were told not to go see it.
Exactly. So Supergirl, it feels like it's going down this path, and it's just disaster after disaster. And then there are like small things, but they all contribute. Have you seen this? Like, even the designs of this film look crap. Like, this is what Kryptonians look like in Man of Steel. This is what they look like in the DC thing. And I'm like, wow, that looks
like an installation. That looks like some kind of, she looks like she's dressed like a potholder.
I know, it doesn't look sci-fi advanced, and I'm not saying everything needs to be kind of edgy with lots of geometry and stuff like that, but that looks like something humans made in the 60s. It's like, it doesn't look like advanced or even Alien. It doesn't, like, at least Christopher Reeve's Superman, the Kryptonian stuff still looked alien, right? Man, do you remember that, like,
bizarre and weird? It was interesting, and
exactly.
If this had been made in the 60s, you probably would have seen a little more titty on display, a little more tight clothing, probably.
Oh, but
they knew who was buying this.
Exactly. They knew who the audience was. And so they made, Supergirl look quite attractive. And if you look at the old Supergirl, the old Supergirl film, let's just say I have a feeling there might have been some padding to make certain curves more pronounced in that rendition of Supergirl. But how dare they cater to the male gaze? That's sexist now. And so they make Supergirl look like unattractive. I showed the pictures before. She looks messy. Her hair looks oily and unkempt and gross. She's not smiling. And even the outfit looks a bit bulky and not even showing, presenting the curves that can make women look really attractive.
I will give all the credit in the world to the Supergirl TV show. Melissa Benoist, I don't know how you pronounce her last name. She struck a great balance between modern era sensible but also paying homage to like the way it looked in the old school. I thought felt I had a really good balance to her. She was pretty. She was a little bubbly. She kind of embodied Supergirl really well. I know the show got really
it went off the rails. I was gonna say it started kind of that way, but then they went full feminist, and it's like, they gave her pants, and when she's like pants, like finally I've got pants, like she was oppressed somehow wearing a skirt. Where I agree. The first season of Supergirl, I will say, is tolerable. I still didn't like it because it was just a female version of Clark Kent, and that shouldn't be the Supergirl approach. Supergirl should be different from Clark Kent, where she's come to Earth when she was older, and it should be a fish out of water scenario where she's trying to adapt to human culture. And by the way, the animated cartoons do this great. If you look at Supergirl and the animated cartoons, they do that really well, where she's struggling to come to terms with, human culture, but also understands she has incredible power and can help people out. And she wants to be a hero. And I think even Superman, Clark Kent, is actually, he's worried about her being a hero from memory in the cartoon, and but she's pushing to use her powers for good and wants to do good. And that's a positive thing. It's like a good superhero character is a character that realizes when they have these powers, they have the power to help others. That's the core of what a superhero is. And they understood that in the cartoon. And it feels like everything I've seen from this modern new superhero film is that she's got these powers and she just wants to get rid of her powers. She goes to a planet with a red sun so she can get drunk. That's pathetic. That doesn't feel like a superhero. And
we already had that. We already had that storyline with Hancock.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We already did the drunk, messy, doesn't have his stuff together superhero with Hancock. And that could have worked if the third act hadn't fallen apart, but I didn't want to see the same thing. I don't want to see Hancock in a wig, basically.
Yeah. Like you can always do the different kind of outside of the norm of superhero thing. Like, evil Superman, do it once occasionally. It's interesting, but it seems like that's become the norm. Like the gritty, resentful, selfish superheroes, which have powers, but they're just wanting to help themselves, or they resent being a hero and stuff like that. That has been coming up so regularly, and I can't stand it. And it's subverting the core traditional thing of what superheroes are meant to be: aspirational heroes. Heroes meaning they save others, help others, they sacrifice, and that's why classic Spider-Man is so good. Where his life gets ruined by being Spider-Man, but he keeps doing it because it's the right thing to do. Love it, right? Interesting. I've been looking up like Supergirl kind of, thing to try and find a picture of the one that you were talking about. And I came across this picture here, if you can see this one on the side. And it's like, there's the classic Supergirl from the old movie. There's one you were talking about, and here's the new one. And what's different? What's different? All the other Supergirls are smiling.
The new one looks like she finally voted Trump or something.
Exactly.
You said what on social media? You tweeted what? You retweeted who?
She's smiling a bit there. Maybe I'm wrong. She does smile.
It's a smirk. It's like I'm better than you. How dare you?
Yeah, exactly.
You thought you had a shot with me?
Yeah, exactly. I'm better than that's another better than you smile. This is a nice smile. Look at that. She seems happy and genuine there. And in terms of this Supergirl, like I said, I found the first season tolerable, but I didn't like the overall kind of framing with it's just a female Clark Kent. But there were some things positives about it, where when Kit Grant is it that names her Supergirl, and she's like, why not Superwoman? And then she's like, I'm a girl, it's good being a girl, and they actually like are embracing some of the just it's like girliness in it. And so that was a positive with the first season of Supergirl. I'll give it that. But then they seem to have gone off the rails, where it's like, oh, it's somehow sexist to have her in a skirt, let's give her pants, and suddenly that's empowering. Because Supergirl, that TV show, went really feminist. That went way off.
Yeah, and I knew it was going to go off the deep end. We were only a few episodes into season 2, right after it dropped on the CW, and two of the things they did almost immediately: one, they turned the sister character into a lesbian out of nowhere, and had several episodes dedicated. They had parts of episodes dedicated to her learning how to be a lesbian, having girlfriends and dating. And then they had the episode where she fought Superman, which should occasionally happen, but they went too far, and they had him. He was mind controlled. He didn't have any, and he didn't have his filter on. And she beat him. Right? She beat Superman, and he admitted to her later, like, I wasn't holding back. You beat me fair and square. I was rolling my eyes so far to the back of my head, I could see the wrinkles on my brain. They wanted that from the get-go. Of course, that was part of the peak woke era after Trump was elected. We were heading into the COVID era. We were still having the summer of love pop up. It was ridiculous.
And just they wanted to make double sure that you knew that no, she beat Superman. There's no questions about it.
Yes,
she's way better. She's girl power, beats Superman every time. But now we got Ballerina, where John Wick owns the Ballerina main character in 2 seconds.
I saw a clip from that. And but not only that, he constantly defeats her and could
several
kill her
times,
and then she keeps trying to fight him, and it's just like, maybe
he has to let her go. Like she would have just died otherwise.
So good on him for doing that. But yeah, Supergirl looks like it's going to be a disaster. Maybe it'll be good when it comes out. We'll see. But everything leading up to this film just has made it look worse and worse and worse. There was another topic that I thought we might discuss, but we're out of time, and also it's coming out this week. He-Man.
Did you see the clip? Did you see the new clip?
I've been seeing, like, I don't know what to think, because I've been seeing base stuff and then cringe stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. I this is a wild card. It could be anything, and so it's going to be really interesting.
I saw some people being kind of upset because there's a new clip. I don't know if you want to pull it up or not. Of Jared Leto's
laughing
Skeletor, yeah,
and
he's a little hokey, but Skeletor, to me, Skeletor was always a little hokey. He was never a totally serious villain. He had a great look, but there are people who are like, oh, that's too jokey. He's supposed to be serious. He's a villain. I'm like, guys, I've said this many, many times before. 80s villains were iconic, but 90s villains could actually win. Don't forget, most of the time, the 80s villains, especially Skeletor, ended the episode running away, going, I'll get you next time.
Like Skeletor's voice, people don't realize how kind of bad the original voice was. And I love Skeletor, but it's like, hello, He-Man.
I don't think that works as well in live action.
No, it wouldn't. And so I'm actually okay with them changing Skeletor's voice. I saw this clip. I actually haven't watched it yet, and so this is going to be a live reaction for me. So let's check this out just while it's here.
Evelyn
doesn't look bad, but they're doing this thing where it's like in so many adaptations, they seem deathly afraid of leotards. Like how did they they will not put women in leotards, which is why Street Fighter seems actually interesting, where they actually gave Camilla her original leotard. But they're like, Evelyn, doesn't she wear a leotard in the original design? And so it's like,
I believe she does. Yeah, they're afraid of showing a little leg. I don't get it.
Same with Tila. Tila had a skirt. They've given her pants. It's like, I mean, He-Man is like, he's stripped as much as he was.
He-Man is He-Man.
I know, but the women, how dare we put them, in a leotard.
Well said, Lord Skeletor. Poetry.
had taken away his days done. With the new dawn, Italia shall witness my lie.
All right.
It kind of feels weird. I feel like it's about to like bring in Pepsi or something.
You know, they're hamming it up and overplaying it, and I'm actually kind of okay with it in He-Man. So far, I'm not checked out. Like those Evelyn lines were overdone. I would like in a serious film, you'd call that bad acting, right? But it might suit He-Man. I might be okay with it. It really depends on what the overall thing is.
Geico.
He's got a good laugh.
That's it. I finished.
Of course, my lord.
When I raise my fist like that, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm okay with this. Like, I'm okay with it.
That is the crescendo.
You'll know for the future, my lord.
Skeletor is almost butt naked, but
yeah, right. He is. Look, that is kind of Marvel humor that people are tired with. I am okay for that in He-Man because He-Man, like guys, no joke.
It's He-Man.
In a He-Man
it's
cartoon,
a little hokey. It's a little hammy, like they say in the chat.
He-Man in the original cartoon needed to cross a gorge. Instead of jumping over, he literally throws his sword to the other side with a rope and pulls the gorge together, right? He-Man is just ridiculous and bonkers, okay? I'm okay with them embracing that kind of unserious nature of He-Man. It depends on execution. We will see what it's like ultimately, because the film's out this week, guys. And there have been red flags, but there's like a scene where, you know, Teela can't lift something and He-Man comes in and lifts it for her, and she's playing the whole kind of girl, kind of like, oh wow, you know, you're strong. I'm, and she's clearly attracted to him, but you know, trying to play it off and stuff like that. It's like that's a positive sign. So I do not know. This film is just, it could be a woke disaster or it could be fire. I'm so.
It kind of feels like Evelyn is going to be the competent one, and Skeletor might be the idiot.
A little bit. That might be that. Who's the actress of Evelyn? I recognize her. She's not the girl from Community, is it? Who did the voice of Unikitty as well? I need to hear her again.
At least she had a little bit of a wiggle in her step.
Well said, Lord Skeletor. Poetry.
God, that is her.
Is that her?
That is Unikitty. Oh, sure. Golly, I can't unhear it now.
The voice sounds like Unikitty. I think that's the girl from Community. People are saying Alison Brie.
Alison Brie.
The
Lego movie.
Alison Brie. Yeah, that's her. Look,
Dang.
she was great in Community, and she has a fun voice, and she did great as Unikitty. So okay, she could be a great Evelyn. We will see. Like I said, this is such a wild card for me. But we're going to find it, and I'm going to do my best to get a review done as well. I'll be watching it this Thursday for me, because I'm a day ahead in Australia in the future. And then we'll find out. Like, I want a good He-Man. I'm an OG He-Man fan, guys. So come on.
I'm hoping it is at least dumb fun. That's my only hope for it. I don't need this to be over the top epic. I don't need it to be grounded with. And I see a lot of people say, "Well, the original ladies movie was so much better." I'm like, guys, did you forget that like 2/3 of that movie was spent on Earth?
We need to be realistic about He-Man, okay? I love He-Man. I'm an OG thing. I love the wholesome goodness that like classic He-Man was a celebration of just everything that little boys loved. It was a celebration of masculinity, and they embraced it and then went ham with it. He-Man was never a fully serious thing. There were serious elements in it with great kind of moral message and stuff like that, but He-Man was never truly fully serious. I'm not saying it can't be adapted seriously, and that wouldn't be awesome. I think it would be, but I'm also going to give the charity that can also be adapted in a fun, you know, lighthearted way. Okay. And so we're just going to have to see. All right. that was one of the last things that I wanted to touch on because I've been seeing stuff about that. But let's wrap up with those super chats.
Before you start, Chad, I do need to get going. My wife has got some things for me to do, and I'm glad I wasn't able to be late on this one. But thank you for having me again, man.
Dude,
looking forward
pleasure.
to seeing you next week. Okay.
Thanks, John. We'll catch you next week. See you, mate. All righty. We got Gary Thomas for $10 says, I never understood the controversy with the Japan McDonald's commercial. I know. 97% of children in Japan are born into a nuclear family, which is the highest among developed countries. So it makes sense. Even in countries where it isn't, it makes sense because that's what you want to celebrate as the norm, as the most beneficial thing for society. The fact that people took issue with it is a sign of how corrosive,
fascism, Shad.
Destructive their
Fascism.
ideology is.
They also think Japan is fascist.
Well, yeah, they do, don't they? Because Japan, well, they understand that they have a culture and they want to preserve that culture, which I actually respect quite a lot. Nathan Cassidy, $49.99. Dude, big super chat. Thank you. Bendova the possum ran through the kitchen only to find he made a wrong turn. But the sound of clattering cups cut off ideas of escape. And as the human closed in, Ben remembered the law of Australia, the world's prison. It's peg or be pegged. I know what you're referring there. And remember, look, Dev, how should I approach this? Because I shared a story on FNT about a possum sneaking into my house and how I needed to wrangle it outside. And I reverted to my natural native language and euphemisms. And one of the euphemisms we have is to peg something is to used to mean to throw something and nail it and hit it right on. It's like you pegged it.
Oh, you
right?
say you pegged a possum?
So I said I pegged this possum because I threw a cup at it and scared it out of the house. And so should I try and embrace this and reframe the language of peg, saying, no, peg is a good use of a word that shouldn't be co-opted by this degenerate society, and say, no, when you throw something at it and you hit it square on, you pegged it and pegged it good. And I pegged that possum. Or is that just going to make it worse?
It's probably going to make it worse, but funnier.
Yeah, we'll make it fun. Because now it's a meme. Now it's a meme that I pegged a possum. I'm like, well,
Shad pegs a possum.
I did it to myself. And so the other thing is should I embrace it then and say, well, look, these possums, we need a shot, but no, that's not going to work either because it's just going to sound like I'm abusing possums. I don't know. I'm stuffed either way. But it is funny. Thank you, Nathan Cassidy. Zimamaru for $5 says, one day these people are going to say, you're racist. And the response will be, yes, I am. And they're really not going to like what happens next. At the moment, people are just saying, don't care. And that's because racist means nothing now. I know I'm not racist. You want to try and label me? Piss off.
But it's getting there. There's some people. There's a lot of a huge wave of Gen Z is definitely going the route of yes, I am.
And I don't think that's a good thing. But
they're upsetting actual white supremacists because there's a lot of Hispanics and stuff.
Actual racists saying, hey, hang on, no.
Wait a minute.
Don't call yourself racist because that's taking away my identity.
That's our thing.
That's it. Oh my gosh. The world, dude. The world.
The racists are being defended by the people who are racist now.
Yeah, gosh. Albatross for $2 says, I'm not a cat. I don't know what that means. But after hearing this story, FFS for flying sake. The story was horrible. Yeah. Look. You don't want to radicalize people, but when the media plays defense for it like this, and you see such egregious double standards where they literally assisted the murder of someone because he was white, it's just like, oh, dude, it's going to have bad repercussions and results. And they're doing it to themselves. The British politicians, British media, and the police, they're doing it to themselves. They are radicalizing more and more people. And It should be that they're, just exposing him and people then are going to oppose him and vote for kind of Restore UK. But it's pushing people even further.
Look, as we know, Shad, as long as they keep forcing people to do what they want, it'll work out fine,
right?
Historically.
Yeah. Well, remember, communism has never really been tried, so if we just keep trying it, we'll get it right sometime.
Yeah, it's like a numbers game.
Yeah.
Usually the numbers is a death toll, but
that's the scary thing. Like, if things do not get resolved democratically, and it needs to be resolved soon democratically, this is why I think Restore UK is one of the last hopes. If it doesn't get restored democratically, things are going to get a lot worse. And I'm not saying that to promote it or encourage it. I'm saying that with regret. We do not want things to get worse, but that's where things are heading. And it's not good. It is not good. Zamamaru $5 says, if a random American lawyer, William Walker, was able to take over South America in the 1800s, a few good Americans can take Europe easily. They don't have any weapons now. They've disarmed themselves. So don't think they can put up much of a fight. It's like us in Australia. I'm like, America, come and invade us. I'll welcome you with open arms at this point.
Open the gates.
Give me that Constitution and First Amendment, man. Come on over. Like, seriously. Oh my gosh. But I hope, look, there is some hope in Australia with the rise of One Nation. I'm like, yes, let's go, Pauline. Let's go, One Nation. We will see. Because that's the hope. I hope we can fix things democratically. Where Harbinger, I think, for $10 says, I've returned to you all. The UK is unfortunately a snapshot into Australia's future if nothing is done. Yeah. Being permissive of the worst of foreign offenders will destroy a civilization. Yeah. Yeah. The UK should be a large, crystal clear, cautionary tale for every other country about what can happen if you do the same policies that they have. McSkittles, member for 13 months. Legend says, I think some Lego could cause this much trouble. I know. That story is just like, wow. But Lego, man, Lego's expensive.
Yeah, they're like more than gold, I think.
I mean, unless you go to Temu, I'll just throw that out into the ether. Just go to Temu and you might find some interesting looking brick construction sets. They're a shocking similarity to other brick construction
brick-like construction sets.
Yeah, but are insanely affordable. It's like, I'm just saying, right? Barrett for $2 says, if these Lego Fig people actually were members of the LDS Church, their bishop needs to sit down and have a good long talk with them. Yeah, I don't know what the ins and outs. I think it's very easy for people to be misled by what's going on. Because if you have a local source saying they're being harassed by some weird YouTuber, you can understand why people would side with them, especially if you know them and things like that. And again, not all the members of the church are solid. Okay, so there's dodgy ones. Come across many in my own life, but luckily they seem to be the exceptions and the norm, generally speaking. Gumble Fan for $3 says DC is gonna release a trans Wonder Woman comic.
They are.
Wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me. Would not surprise me. Zimamaru $5 says, in either case, you should reach out to Chibi Reviews and try to get him on the show. I might do that. Seems solid, Chibi. The two of you raging over Rent-A-Girlfriend would be legendary. I would love to have someone to rant about Rent-A-Girlfriend with. And because I finished that weird anime.
Darling in the Franxx.
Darling in the Franxx. But I forgot to mention something in it, which was so based. The overall bad enemy, Alien, is basically communism. Like they want to bring humans into a post-human society where it's all equality and diversity and everyone is equal and the same. And there's a line in that where it's like, you shall all be equal. And I'm like, this is the villain, the alien villain in the whole show, where the villain of the entire series is like, equality and diversity, and the heroes embrace traditional, like that show is like mega based. Holy. And if
it's about getting romance back, traditional families, and anti-communism.
Anti-communism is like, dude,
very based.
Very based. There's been a segment I've been wanting to do. We'll get to it eventually when we've got time, where I just want to talk to you and give you the rundown of Let This Grieving Soul Retire, because that was one I finished recent. Oh, not recent enough. That is fun and interesting to talk about, and the tropes that it plays with. Anime that I've started recently. I've been getting many recommendations from a very dedicated commenter. I'm sorry I missed the name, but he's constantly been saying, Shad, you need to watch Wistaria Wanden Sword. I watched the first episode last night. It's pretty darn good so far. The animation is crisp in Wistaria Wanden Sword. And so I'm like, all right, that's my next watch. I'm looking forward to it. But man, anime, like it's just there are controversies around anime constantly. Did you see the recent controversy about there's this anime with a very petite, short adult female character that people have been attacking, saying it's like pedo bait and stuff like that?
A little that narrows it down.
Yeah, right. They love to attack anime. And then so that's been going on, and there was some other stuff.
I'm still waiting for them to rediscover Berserk again. They love to rediscover Berserk every
right. They get completely triggered by it.
Just once a year.
Yep. All right. We're doing that's right. Comments. But hey, Chibi, yeah, maybe I should mention. Like, I don't know if he probably doesn't know who I am. But that would be fun. Talking about anime with Chibi, you reckon?
That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Because like we in the subject of anime, right? I am not down the rabbit hole nearly as much as Chibi that are just anime everything, right? But I don't think I'm a tourist, because I actually have consumed quite a lot of anime, and but I don't think all anime is good. I think there's trash anime and good anime, and I like to find the good anime. And the trash anime, like even if I end up clicking and watching this episode or two, it's like, nah, moving on. But there is such good anime out there. And dude, I've been watching anime like ever since, no joke, Astro Boy. I watched Astro Boy when that was on TV.
I don't think I ever watched Astro Boy, but I did watch this like thing they made later on called Astro Boy and Gigantor or something.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I'm talking about classic old school Astro Boy. What other classic animes did I watch? Speed Racer, dude. I love Speed Racer.
Speed Racer was awesome. That was the first anime I ever watched. I didn't even know it was anime. I just know it was awesome.
I know, right? Speed Racer was awesome. So these are some really old school ones. Man, there were even some other Samurai Pizza Cats. That was a fun one. I ended up watching a little bit of when I could get it was on TV. But then there's other ones that are more obscure, like Techno Man, Legend. Techno Man was like, wow, right? But all the ones I mentioned, I didn't know were anime at the time. They were just cool cartoons that I watched. I only kind of identified what anime was as distinctly a Japanese media was when I watched Neon Genesis Evangelion for the first time, because it had a Japanese intro still, and that I had seen nothing like Neon Genesis before, and I almost think I need to rewatch it to get fresh eyes on it, because people have issues with Neon Genesis, and I think some of them are valid, but then there are other things about Neon Genesis that is just done really well, and it gets so weird towards the end. But the initial framework of Neon Genesis, like the construction. So I watched it when I was 14. The protagonists were 14. So I was like, they imagine being in the mecha pilot with my age and stuff, and it was like this wicked weird setup, but it was also action. It was violent. It was like nothing I'd seen. It was like,
I think that's good. Like that's kind of the same age range as Avatar: Last Airbender.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think I need to rewatch it. But what I have watched more recently, the Rebuild Evangelion series, that goes so weird, man. As what you think the original series goes weird, the rebuild series gets so friggin' wacky. You just don't know what's going on by the end. It's like, what the hell? Oh, so Neon Genesis, man. It is this weird spot where I'm at this point where I don't really know what to think about it. I'm not even sure if I could consider it appropriate anymore, or if it's still a classic. There are things in it which are done really well, but then there's just such weird stuff. Just like, oh, yeah. Avoid the movies. I'll just say that the movies just got so weird. It's like I don't need that. I think the series maybe has a satisfying enough conclusion. Anyway, that got me off on a tangent. Thank you for the super chat. Justin Martins, Vern, $5 says, what do you think about the look of Roboto, from He-Man trailers? Kind of bummers. His chest ain't clear myself. So here's the thing. I don't remember many of the side characters of He-Man. He-Man was always the main thing that I was into as a kid. Didn't care about the side characters. They were just kind of there, random villains. And of course, so you remember the main ones like, Evelyn. Of course, Skeletor was a big one. Man-at-Arms, the main side characters, Orko, and the guys on the good side. But the random villains, I remember there's like the robot, the one with the eyes, the one with the spinning head, the one with the ram head as well. There was like one with pincers and things. And stuff. And so they were just kind of weird random villains that I didn't really get invested in. So unfortunately, I can't speak to that too much. And Barrett for $2 says, you recently got me reading Dragonlance again.
Oh, very nice.
Yes. I want to reread. Well, I want to listen to Dragonlance. I want to get the audiobooks and go through it again. Because man,
I got the first one
way too long. Dragonlance is legendary for what it did for fantasy. Yeah, man. Yeah. So we are up to date with all the super chats. Oh boy, that was a lot to go through on this one. Hey, Lit, is there anything you want to mention as we sign off?
Oh, yeah, actually have this. I finished it this weekend. I'll check it out. Let me see. Where is it? Where could it be? I think here it is. Here it is. I just put on X before the stream started. Here it is. The full trailer for my new upcoming comic.
Oh, dude, I'm full screening this.
It began with the suicide of Charles Blackwell, just days after his 55th birthday. Then the Rhineswan family massacre. 3 generations painfully passing from this world, crying the same crimson tears Blackwell had. I sit alone.
5 members of the prominent Rhineswan family were found dead.
After that, the media finally gave their murderer a name. The Red Crier Killer. Memento Mori. Remember you will die!
Investigators believe the killer may be the same individual the media has dubbed the Red Crier.
Memento Mori. Remember you will die. I know it's droll to sell my soul. I wanted to protect them though, but I couldn't even play my role. Now vengeance is Memento Mori. Too late for sorry. No goodbye. Breath goes dry. I won't cry when I remember you will die.
Dude, that is tight, man. That is really cool.
Get all done, but I got it done.
Dude.
The song is mine, so there should be no copyright issues.
Yeah. So that looked wicked, man. And people are like, oh yeah. Dude, the art looked great. Art looked great in that as well. Man.
He put a lot of effort into his work. So hopefully I'm hoping to launch this summer, but there's
so it's not available yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. When it is, man, hit me that link and I'll be sharing it. That's awesome, dude. Now, as for me, same old. Lit Dev chopped up a pig last week. Executioner sword. That was a lot of fun. And
Game of Thrones style, I guess.
Yeah. More pig violence, I guess, is coming because we also hit it with some other swords. And dude. Woo. So that's on its way. And Night's Watch. But this week, He-Man. That's gonna.
I am interested in He-Man. It seems like a lot of fun.
Yep. I hope to drop the trailer on the day of review and get that out there. And I have no idea what to expect. But that's me this week. Everyone, thank you very much for joining us here on Night's Watch, another Culture Crusade. The world is a crazy place. Stay safe. And as always, stay on watch.